Alright, so we are dropping into a hidden dungeon, the Altar of the End, and a massive fight is already kicking off, explosions everywhere. This fairy-winged woman is on the ground, desperate for her backup to show up, because she is facing this absolute unit of a demon and things are looking grim. Meet Ember, the hidden boss, who is at 10% health and still calling them insects. One of her teammates launches a volley of fireballs at the big guy, forcing her to throw up a shield while someone off-screen yells for the nanny. Just then, a hand appears over the shield, dangling a golden charm, and in comes the healer Sato who really asterisk hates that nickname. He buffs his teammate Hitomi, telling her they just need to hold out a little longer. With that boost, Hitomi charges right back at the demon boss. Ember, of course, is in full-on villain mode, talking about how futile their struggle is. But the healer unleashes a massive light attack, just raining down damage numbers. This blast actually sends the huge demon stumbling backward for a second. Seeing her chance, Hitomi screams for the next person in the chain to attack now. And a new guy, Nishiro, and blitzes in surrounded by purple lightning. He lands a ridiculously powerful blow, doing over 8 million damage. Nishiro's feeling pretty confident, thinking that hit must have crippled the boss. Except Ember just grabs him midair, mocking his so-called speed. Then he blasts Nishiro with a Lord Slayer attack, paralyzing him on the spot. Sato and Hitomi are screaming, watching their teammate get wrecked, when suddenly a massive golden sword just shatters the air above them. This whole team looks up, their despair turning to pure relief, because in comes the cavalry, a new guy blocking Ember's attack like it is nothing. He casually apologizes for being late, blaming some troublesome forces. Meet Shizuya, the server's rank 1 player, here to absolutely end this fight. Our new top dog immediately squares up against the demon boss, sword blazing, leaping straight into the fray with a fiery downward slash. Shizuya just weaves through Ember's clones, slicing them apart effortlessly. Sato shouts a warning about the boss's flame aura, a 3-second stun timer. But the team is not worried, knowing 3 seconds is an eternity for their leader. Shizuya starts charging up a massive golden energy attack in his hand, unleashing a huge arc of light right into the demon's chest, all while boasting that he will have time to spare. What a flex. This attack literally forms a giant golden beast to maul the boss. It connects in a blinding, screen-shaking explosion of power. Ember is left with a gaping hole in his chest, completely stunned. And just like that, a system alert declares the boss defeated in record time. Shizuya just calmly looks up at the sky, totally unfazed by his own power. Meanwhile, the rest of the party is losing their minds over the instant kill. Nishiro's already downplaying the boss while Hitomi reminds him they were getting wiped. Sato lays on the sarcasm, thanking Nishiro for his near-death experience. It is not just combat skill. Sato knows Shizuya's total game mastery is what makes him the strongest. His strategy was not just raw power but a perfect exploit of the game's systems. And just then, a system alert pops up for Shizuya. Turns out that was the final one. He has hit 100% completion on all achievements. Except there is a secret one he did not know about, a unique achievement for being the absolute first. Suddenly, a system-wide alert hits. The entire game service is terminating in 5 seconds. This team is completely blindsided. There was no announcement, no warning at all. Meanwhile, some shadowy figures in a control room promise they will meet again. 5 days later, we are on a bullet train in the real world. This news is covering the story. Azure Land just abruptly shut down with zero explanation. Our MC, now in the real world, is on the train, still completely baffled by the shutdown. He is absolutely fuming. He got booted before he could even see what his unique achievement did. He is scrolling through a group chat, likely with his old party members. This train pulls into a station, announcements echoing overhead. Someone in the chat is shocked he is being polite and he just smirks, asking if they are mocking him. Then someone drops a link in the chat, calling it a declaration of war. This link leads to a streamer who has found a clue pointing fingers at a suspicious guild called Mapo Tofu. She pulls up the leaderboard and this guild has a 101% completion rate, which is literally impossible. Hitomi is absolutely furious, demanding Shizuya explain himself. Sato drops the bomb. Did Shizuya's achievement asterisk cause the shutdown? Our boy Shizuya just scoffs on the train like, no way, not my fault. Then he feels a sudden chill grabbing at his throat, his eyes going wide as he realizes something is very, very wrong, because the entire train car is getting sucked into a digital vortex. People's bodies are literally dissolving into blue data. Shizuya looks at his own hands, now covered in glowing game-like patterns. This train itself is just getting ripped to shreds around them. Everyone is tumbling into this chaotic abyss, a swirling vortex of pure digital energy. Shizuya gets a face full of blood, completely stunned, because a monster straight out of Azure Land is stepping through a portal. Yep, a game character has just spawned in the real world. This armored nightmare and its buddies are just standing there, radiating power. These passengers are losing their minds as total panic sets in. That loud guy from earlier tries to be a hero and gets a blade for his trouble. A woman screams for help as the monster looms over its first victim. Its glowing eye locks on and her scream is cut short as the blade comes down in a brutal, bloody finisher. A massive, crackling energy sword slams down into the train car. Shizuya is completely floored, trying to make sense of the chaos. But as the monster raises its blade, the whole pose feels weirdly familiar. He has seen this technique before, a defensive wall of pure energy. Then the armored baddie launches into a spinning slash attack, pushing Shizuya back with a massive sphere of raw power. In a flash, he remembers a similar fight and realizes the pattern. His mind recalls the strategy: do not retreat, you have to advance. This monster's glowing eye just locks onto him, totally unfazed. And our boy finally gets it, a grim look of understanding on his face. Suddenly, a system window pops up just for him, level 1 with a asterisk very asterisk humble title. Another window ids the monster as a level 35 commander, a mob he has farmed countless times. He's not even panicked, just casually identifying a basic commander skill. Yep, it is the classic Leon Slash, a jumping attack he knows by heart. This slash carves a massive gash in the wall, which Shizuya barely dodges. But he realizes this is not just damage, it is a shortcut to the worm dungeon. That gash is literally a portal to a worm station. With a new escape plan forming, he gets ready to move. Except the monster is standing right there and he is pretty sure it is targeting him. Knowing the level difference is suicide, Shizuya decides to make a run for it. With the monster blocking the exit, Shizuya decides to take a massive gamble. This reality of the situation finally sinks in. This is not a game, one mistake is fatal. But he cannot help it, he is actually having fun for the first time in ages. This commander does not care, leaping right down into the chasm after him. Shizuya glances back, perfectly positioned at the edge of the portal. He gives the monster a smirk that just screams, "You have activated my trap card." Then he kicks off the wall, sending the commander flying past him into the abyss. A flood of system alerts confirms the kill, rocketing him from level 1 to 8 instantly. Standing over the edge, he breathes a sigh of relief. The crazy plan actually worked. He remembers using cheap environmental kills like this to farm high-level mobs back in the day. Then a sudden panic sets in as he remembers his friends and pulls out his phone. This group chat is going wild, confirming the game world has invaded their city and asking if he is alive. Before he can even reply, a new squad of shadow hunters materializes in front of him. He is still only level 8, so his first thought is pure self-preservation. Just then, a system window pops up, analyzing the loot dropped by the commander. It is the monster's weapon, a massive energy sword materializing at his feet, and it is a seriously cool-looking crystalline blade glowing with blue energy. This stat page reveals it is a unique grade item with some absolutely busted skills. Shizuya is in disbelief. A drop this good was practically unheard of in the actual game. But as he tries to equip it, a warning appears. Fusing will trigger hate stalk, letting the original owner hunt him down. A shadow archer takes aim, and Shizuya is wondering why monsters have player skills. With an arrow whizzing past, he is still staring at that hate stalk warning. Shizuya just smashes yes, instantly fusing with the sword and unlocking a flood of new skills. He is floored by getting all the commander abilities at once, immediately popping one called Brave Flag. This new skill wraps him in lightning, boosting his speed and defense, perfect for an escape. His first priority is to ditch these mobs, and he has just found the perfect tool for it. That tool is Leon Slash, which he knows is way more than just an attack. It is also a busted movement skill, basically a triple jump for clearing huge gaps. He activates it, rocketing up a massive flight of stairs in a flash of blue light. The shadow hunters give chase, but they are just eating his digital dust. Peeking from cover, he hopes he has finally shaken them off his tail. He breathes a sigh of relief, admiring his new sword. This thing is a lifesaver. His stats are even better than they were in the game, but that hate stalk is still a huge problem. For now, though, the only thing that matters is getting out of this monster-infested station. Except the exit is completely swarmed by a literal army of monsters. Hiding behind a corner, he is just stunned by the sheer number of enemies waiting for him. Then he spots something bizarre in the crowd, a monster activating a respawn point. His mind just breaks because those are supposed to be exclusive to players. A horrifying thought hits him. What if these monsters asterisk are the players now and humans are the mobs? Looking out at the glitched-out city, he wonders if this is the official launch of Azure Land 2. So that hate stalk means he will be hunted by infinitely respawning monsters for a solid week. Hiding out, he realizes a true player would not just abandon their weapon to a mob. He is not waiting around to get killed. He knows this game better than anyone in bolts. Even if the enemy is an immortal player, he is going to find a way to win. With only one life on the line, our boy is absolutely determined to survive this mess. His gamer brain kicks in, remembering the layout. The worm dungeon should be right under this station. And just as he predicted, he finds a massive, fleshy pit leading straight to a C-rank dungeon. He knows a secret about this place, a hidden path that lets you skip the boss entirely. This is perfect, a way to level up while staying completely off the player's radar. But if that exploit does not exist in this new reality, he is gonna have to fight the boss. And his odds of soloing it at his current level are, to put it mildly, 0. Just then, a familiar armored knight appears right behind him. Damn, they have already respawned and tracked him down, leaving him no choice. He takes a leap of faith, diving straight into the pit of giant, writhing worms. This plan is simple. These things are blind and hunt by sound, so stay quiet. Spotting his chance, he makes a running jump towards one of the massive creatures. And he sticks the landing, grabbing onto the back of a giant worm like it is a bucking bronco. He is literally surfing through the dungeon on a monster taxi, which is a new one. Turns out the fastest way through a worm-infested death trap is to hitch a ride. Genius. His destination is a hidden cave with a spring that restores health and boosts stats. He is banking on an old exploit. Soak in these tears for 3 days and the worms become allies. This plan seems foolproof, he just needs to reach that cave to clear this whole thing damage-free. Of course, a giant worm immediately smacks him off his ride, so much for a clean run. Our boy eats dirt, landing hard on the dungeon floor. Looking up, he realizes he is now the main course for a whole swarm of them. These giant, toothy nightmares are lunging right for him. With no other choice, he reluctantly powers up his new lightning skills, ready to throw down. His gamer brain kicks in, planning to exploit their slow-turning speed with a brave flag boost. Then he pops Leon's Slash, using it as a movement skill to wall jump his way up the pit. His first priority is just creating some distance from the hungry mob below. With a bit of breathing room, he makes a mad dash for that hidden cave entrance. But the whole horde is hot on his heels, and they are definitely gaining. Just in the nick of time, he spots the cave and cues up another Leon Slash for the final jump. Our boy makes a desperate leap, the worm snapping at the air just inches behind him. He sticks the landing inside the cave, breathing a heavy sigh of relief. That was way too close. A little shaken, but he has finally reached his secret hideout. And there it is, the Tears of Pharaoh, a glowing pool of what looks like magical Gatorade. Dipping a hand in, a system window confirms a tiny little stat boost. He is thrilled it works just like the game, a steady drip of stat points for 3 days, but if he is interrupted, he gets cursed. So he settles into the pool for a 3-day power-up session, the stat points already starting to trickle in. But his power-up is interrupted by a violent, bloody vision. Shizuya snaps back to reality, wondering what the hell is going on. Another flash shows a woman screaming in pure terror. He realizes the pool is hitting him with a mental debuff, a nasty surprise not in the game. Then ghostly voices start calling his name, and one he recognizes as Hitomi. A memory surfaces of his old guildmates, all smiles and good times, which immediately twists into a nightmare vision of them as ghouls, blaming him for being late. Our boy is just screaming, completely overwhelmed by the psychic assault. He is on his knees in the water, barely holding it together as the attacks intensify. Trying to power through it, he forces himself to stay calm, easier said than done. Time passes, marked by a single glowing drop from the cave ceiling. 2 days have gone by, and he has just got one more to survive. He is so desperate to stay awake he starts stabbing himself, which is one way to do it, I guess. But a sudden noise makes him look up in alarm, and the commander is standing right over him. Talk about bad timing. Shizuya's spirit just breaks, thinking a mob cannot beat a player with infinite lives. All his big plans now feel like a pathetic joke. He is ready to just give up and let it all end, because if he quits, at least the pain will finally stop. But then something snaps and he declares he is not a mob, he is the strongest player there is. His new mantra is simple: he cannot respawn, so he just will not die. With that settled, he just starts laughing his head off, completely unhinged. A system window pops up. He has been accepted as a member of the worm species. Shizuya snaps out of it, wondering if that whole psychic torture session was just a bad dream. Then the 3 days of no food or water hits him, and he feels like he is about to pass out. He stumbles out of the cave, barely able to stand on his own 2 feet. In front of him, the entire worm horde is just staring, completely docile now. But then a pair of glowing red eyes appears in the darkness, and the worms all bow down. Shizuya looks up, his face screaming, I have made a terrible mistake. Because that is the dungeon boss, a big worm that makes the others look like earthworms. We get a lovely close-up of its mouth, which is just rows and rows of nightmare fuel. It then spits up a smaller worm carrying a glowing worm essence. A gift, how thoughtful. This giant monster just stares him down, waiting for him to take its gross offering. He realizes this is their way of accepting him, and hey, free health recovery. Back at the station, he peeks out to find the high-level players have left, leaving only the grunts. Now effectively level 125, he powers up, ready to clear the room before the pros get back. He opens with a massive Leon Slash, shattering the ground in a flash of lightning. Then he uses Stun Rush to slide right under a monster's guard. Our boy is a blur of blue energy, weaving through the enemy lines effortlessly. But a Shadow Archer is not impressed, firing a homing chase arrow right at his back. Shizuya pops his speed boost, desperately trying to outrun that homing arrow. He jukes hard at the last second, letting it slam into a fire extinguisher box, which promptly explodes, creating a massive flashbang effect. Stunned by the blast, he knows he's gotta bail like yesterday. Through the smoke, another armored player monster is already on him, ready to strike. With lightning crackling around him, Shizuya tries to get his bearings, but he is just a hair too slow, taking a nasty slash right across the shoulder. This kid hits the deck, clutching the fresh wound in pain. He is kicking himself for getting careless as a shadow falls over him. His attacker is holding a glowing portal stone. Oh, that is how they are moving so fast. An entire party of them just warped in, which explains the instant backup. Cornered and bleeding, Shizuya knows there is no way he can dodge this next attack. Then in a moment of beautiful, disgusting karma, a giant worm crashes down from the ceiling, and it proceeds to vomit an entire army of smaller worms all over the place. His new allies completely swarm the armored players, a tide of writhing flesh. Shizuya gets to his feet, genuinely thanking his gross little saviors. He was toast without them. He has still got plenty of that healing essence, so he is not out of the fight yet. His eyes land on the dropped portal stone, and you can see the gears turning. A glint in his eye says he has just cooked up a truly terrible, brilliant plan. He orders his worm army to swallow the stone and prepare for a high-speed deployment. Shizuya's plan is simple. His worms are too big and numerous for the players to handle, and his new pets proceed to absolutely demolish the armored grunts with brute force. Best part is he gets all the X, jumping 9 levels in a single go. This loot drops are insane, too bad his worm army also crushed it all into scrap. Knowing they will just respawn, Shizuya makes a run for it, already plotting his next move. Meanwhile, the city is in total chaos, with emergency drones buzzing overhead. As some guys take the opportunity to loot a store, a drone politely asks everyone to evacuate. Elsewhere, a girl with blue hair is just vibing to her music, completely oblivious to the world ending. Someone calls out to her from inside a convenience store. Just a guy grabbing a drink while monsters presumably rampage outside. She walks to the counter, somehow missing the person fleeing for their life right outside the window. With no staff around, she just decides to use the self-checkout because of course she does. Back on the street, she holds her phone up, trying to get a signal amid the burning rubble. Her biggest crisis is that she can only listen to downloaded songs, truly a tragedy. Suddenly, a hand grabs her, yanking her out of her little bubble. She is totally startled, dropping her stuff as her headphones go flying off. A hooded stranger pins her to a wall, shushing her as a monster hand creeps into view. Just as a massive armored leg slams down inches away from them, this guy scolds her for almost walking right into a shadow assassin, and her excuse is that she was too absorbed in her phone, a truly modern apocalypse. This two are spotted, now running for their lives from a flying monster. That shadow assassin dives right at the hooded guy, claws out. He yanks the girl aside just as a massive blade slices the air. She looks back, completely bewildered by the sudden rescue. Her mysterious savior easily parries the monster's attack, and a system window reveals it is Shizuya, now a level 17 commander. He uses the monster's own momentum to wall jump away, but the assassin just charges up another energy blast, relentless. Shizuya recognizes the move, a basic attack while retreating combo. Knowing this is a bad matchup, he decides they need to bail. This monster smashes through the street, hot on their heels. Then Shizuya realizes the girl stopped to take a picture in the middle of a death chase. He is trying to save her life and she is worried about her shopping bags. She calmly tells him not to worry since the monsters will not attack her anyway. Our boy is just stunned silent by this bombshell, which she just laughs off. Her focus shifts to the glowing pattern on his hand. Shizuya admits he has been through some stuff to get this power. He remembers absorbing the power from a weapon he found. With glowing tears streaming down, he names his new ability Signal, and the scene pulls back to show the entire city is just engulfed in flames. They follow a sign to some old air raid ruins and the girl calls out to him. She asks how he knows the area so well since she used to play here all the time. Our boy just points to his map, trying to play it cool. Except it is not a map of the city, it is from the game's beginner village. And he realizes the game world was a perfect copy of this real-world location. He turns the tables, asking why she is tagging along to this creepy place. She just steps right up to him, completely unfazed. Turns out her name is Kakon and she'd like him to use it, thank you very much. Her brilliant reason for following him, it looked interesting, zero survival instincts on this one. Shizuya powers up his feet, ready to make a move. But he freezes, spotting something hanging from the cave ceiling ahead. They have reached their destination, a hidden cave that looks super inviting. Kakon is shocked to see her old childhood playground is now a monster-infested pit. Shizuya immediately tells her to shut it before they get noticed. Looking down, they see flashes of light from deep inside the cavern. Yep, that is definitely a battle raging down below. Two people are holding the line, arguing about one of them going on alone. They are fighting a whole squad of shadow monsters, including a soldier and a magician. A shadow cleric is in the mix too, and our duo has a front row seat. Shizuya scans them, noting they are weaker than the station mobs and probably not very experienced. Shizuya decides he can win this and charges right in. Kakon screams his name, probably not a fan of the suicide run. He vaults right over a magic blast, surprising the other fighters. From above, he dives straight for the shadow cleric. His first move is a classic, take out the healer. With the cleric gone, he knows the tank will charge mindlessly, and the tank is just way too slow to keep up with him. Seeing their chance, the other two provide some covering fire, which just seems to annoy the monsters more than anything. So the tank just throws up a massive ice wall to block them, but when the ice shatters, the monsters are just gone, leaving the two soldiers completely confused in an empty cave. Then Shizuya strolls in, telling them the monsters bye-laid for now. This guy's thank you is to point a gun at him, asking about his glowing hand. Right on cue, Kakon jumps in to vouch for our boy, explaining he is the one who saved her from that assassin earlier. This female soldier finally lowers her weapon, suggesting they talk. Turns out this cave is a survivor camp run by army instructors, and Kakon is just thrilled to announce she trained there too, what a coincidence. They were on a mission when comms died, forcing them to retreat here. This female soldier explains these are the only citizens they managed to save from a much larger group. Shizuya admits that saving anyone at all in this mess is a huge deal, but she knows the monsters will not just let them walk away, because this cave is actually a mandatory dungeon for all new players. Its bosses are a pair of level 15 twin demons, one artillery, one crossbow. This male demon is slow but packs a huge magical punch, while the female is a glass cannon, fast and precise but with low firepower. Back in the present, Shizuya gets a splitting headache, much to Kakon's alarm, because it is all making a horrible, terrifying kind of sense to him now. He finally understands the game has literally merged with the real world, and every player who logged in is now trapped in this twisted reality, forced to hunt humanity in the name of some sick, cosmic justice. Just then, their janky soda can tripwire alarm goes off, An armored foot stomps right through it, announcing their arrival. Everyone tenses up, the monsters are back and they have brought friends. Kakon, with zero survival instinct, decides to go take a peek. This male soldier yells for the civilians to get to the back of the cave. From her hiding spot, our girl starts counting the new arrivals. A full squad of 5 heavily armored shadow monsters now stands before them. Shizuya steps up, telling Kakon to evacuate the citizens while they hold the line. A quick scan reveals the new monster squad is seriously leveled up, led by level 25 King Archer. Shizuya immediately clocks their lamp arrows, a hard counter for fighting in a dark cave. With a quick plan, he charges in, telling the soldiers to just provide covering fire. His target is the backline, but the Shadow Warrior immediately throws up a crystal shield. From behind it, the Shadow Magician starts blasting a volley of fireballs. Shizuya just effortlessly weaves through the explosive barrage. This big warrior just hunkers down in a defensive position, playing the world's most boring tank. So our boy just vaults right over the big lug to get to the squishies. He lands cleanly behind the shield as the soldiers' bullets just plink off the front. And the 2 soldiers provide that fire support, which seems to be doing absolutely nothing. Now deep in the enemy backline, Shizuya squares up with the casters. He smirks, calling them out as beginners and promising to end this quickly. Except the King Archer is not a beginner, charging up a lamp arrow technical shot. Shizuya barely dodges the glowing projectile as it zips right past his head. He lands a little stunned by the player-style move, so much for them being beginners. Okay, so this archer actually has real combat experience, which is very bad news. And right on cue, a massive explosion erupts right where the soldiers are positioned. This male soldier takes the hit head-on, his rifle absorbing most of the blast. Shizuya just yells back, no problem, realizing these player monsters are leveling up fast. Then he is right back in the fight, clashing with the level 20 Shadow Magician. Shizuya connects the dots. These monsters are grinding skills just like players. Worse, the magician just instantly heals any damage they take, making this whole thing pointless. Oh great, a dedicated cleric in the back, because this was not annoying enough. This archer's playing dedicated bodyguard, completely shutting down any approach to the healer. Pinned down completely, he sees no way to break their formation. Back with the soldiers, the guy decides it is time for his secret weapon, which looks like a brick. Shizuya, however, is still stuck facing down that impenetrable shield, only to get absolutely rocked by a massive shield bash. Sent flying, the soldier screams at him to fall back, and he lands with a very eloquent ow. His mind flashes back in the game. He'd sacrifice pawns to win, no problem. Now he is faced with a horrifying choice. Can he really sacrifice living people? A glance back shows the terrified civilians, including a little girl, huddled together. Just then, a blue-haired woman offers the crying girl a lollipop. She tells the kid not to frown so much, trying to offer a little comfort. Then comes the tough question, where are her parents? And the kid just breaks down, saying someone named Akina brought her here before. Well, you know, snapping back to the present, the soldier yells that they are retreating. He is gonna blow a path for them. His partner agrees, hoping this desperate move will buy them just a few more days. But Shizuya's not done, activating Brave Flag to buff the whole team for one last push. Shizuya's apology echoes as he makes a horrifying choice. This triggers a memory for the little girl of her big sister Akina and her big brother Takuto, the 2 soldiers he is about to sacrifice. Crying, the little girl asks if they are going to be okay. Her flashback shows Takuto getting impaled by a beam of light. This female soldier watches in horror as the girl recalls Takuto's secret. Back in the present, Shizuya reveals the awful truth. He sacrificed them to beat the players. He explains it is all because of the game's chain system. This system binds 2 players' powers together, just like the twin demon bosses, and when one of the designated pair is killed, the link is broken. This female soldier screams Takuto's name, realizing the awful implication. She rushes to his side, desperately trying to save him. Shizuya, with zero bedside manner, tells her there is no time for grieving. Her hand tightens on her rifle, filled with absolute rage. She slowly rises and the other shoe is about to drop, and then just drops dead, a victim of the chain's backlash. Staring at the 2 bodies, Shizuya grabs the female soldier's bag. Inside is a whole lot of C4, which he starts swinging like a madman. With a mighty heave, he hurls the explosives at the remaining monsters. This female soldier's spirit screams for vengeance as the whole cave is about to blow. This C4 detonates, engulfing the remaining monsters in a massive fireball. As Akina collapses, her mind flashes back to a past battle where Takuto was blasted away, her rifle slipping from her grasp as she watched, completely helpless. Seeing him get hit back then had just completely shattered her. She remembers regretting her choices, wishing he'd just partnered with her so she could have advanced. But he knew the truth. She stayed behind to help him save civilians instead of retreating. A memory of her tears falling, overwhelmed by his selfless act, and through it all she'd called him a fool, the kind of fool she could never abandon. Back in the present, Akina's consciousness fades as she hits the ground. Shizuya, meanwhile, just watches this whole drama with an unreadable expression. Suddenly, a cough cuts through the silence. It is Takuto. He is alive, clutching his chest and wondering what the hell just happened. Our boy explains his brave flag buffed their defense just enough to survive a fatal blow. Takuto is stunned, the monsters are gone, and Shizuya's insane plan actually worked. Akina's thank you is to punch him right in his freshly not fatal wound, calling him an idiot. After he doubles over in pain, she immediately looks like she regrets her life choices. but then he just grabs her hand, stopping her mid-apology. Because in his other hand is a freaking ring. Turns out he was planning to propose once they were safe. But hey, a near-death experience works too. Completely overwhelmed, she just throws her arms around him, finally breaking down. Akina just breaks down, sobbing that she's been waiting for him this whole time, and Shizuya just watches this whole soap opera with a faint, knowing smile. Kakon pops up and he explains that even the game's twin demons had feelings for each other. Takuto realizes they used the system to survive, meaning this is not a game where defeat is guaranteed. This gives Shizuya a surge of confidence, believing they actually have a chance to win. And 30 minutes later, that hope is gone and he looks like he has been through a blender, because a giant monster has arrived and despair is officially back on the menu. One of the civilians immediately starts losing his mind, absolutely refusing to go outside. He argues that this cave is their only safe spot and leaving is just suicide. Soon the whole group is backing him up because mob mentality is a hell of a drug. Akina tries to reason with them, explaining their location has been compromised. This crowd just glares back, completely unmoved by logic. So Shizuya lays it out, the monsters they just killed are going to respawn. Not only that, they will come back even stronger than before. This sends the loudmouth spiraling, screaming that resistance is pointless. Then he turns on Shizuya, questioning why they should trust a guy who is part monster himself. He even accuses our boy of luring them into a trap and Kakon is not having it. She gets right in his face, telling him to just die here on his own then. Suddenly a sharp clap cuts through all the bickering. It is Takuto offering a compromise, leave with them or stay and wait for a backup that might never come. Takuto lays out the choice, risk the airport or die waiting here. Just then the little girl tugs on Akina's sleeve, and she bravely declares she is sticking with her big sister and brother. This loudmouth civilian is still looking like he is about to start another argument, but another guy chimes in, hoping the airport is actually a safe bet. Slowly, the rest of the group starts to fall in line. Democracy is a beautiful thing. Even Mr. Loudmouth finally caves, grumbling that they have no other option. With that, he takes the lead and the great escape is officially on. Akina immediately starts barking orders. They are moving out in 5 minutes. As they start walking, she quietly gets Shizuya's attention. She needs to know how he is so sure the monsters will just respawn. Kakon jumps in too, demanding to know how he has got all this insider info. Shizuya starts explaining the 2 huge advantages players have in this game. This big one: players can respawn infinitely and just keep trying new tactics. It is a classic dungeon crawl. You can wipe 100 times as long as you win once, which means for the bosses like them, the odds are basically zero. Takuto asks how he can be so calm and Shizuya just deflects, saying they are calm too. Yeah, about that, Takuto admits they are trained soldiers. But their training did not exactly cover fighting respawning game monsters and they are breaking down. Shizuya, with the emotional intelligence of a rock, asks why they are even trying so hard then. Takuto tells Shizuya he cannot save everyone here. He even suggests our boy and Kakon should just ditch them. With a sigh, he admits Shizuya's heart is in the right place. Their conversation is cut short by a creepy monster crest on the wall. Takuto's completely baffled. That is where a national flag should be. He even remembers saluting that thing, totally clueless. Shizuya cuts him off, telling him not to be so self-sacrificing, but Takuto insists, telling him to just save Kakon if things go south. Kakon then pipes up, asking about the little girl Katona, and Takuto is sure Akina will take care of her, no problem. Turns out Akina cannot have kids, a secret from an old injury. He explains that is why she is so attached to the little girl. It is also why she never accepted his proposal, just as an attack builds behind them. Suddenly, a massive energy beam blasts right through the cave. Shizuya screams a warning, shoving Kakon to safety, taking the hit himself, getting a nasty gash on his head. Both Takuto and Kakon are just frozen in shock. These civilians, meanwhile, are having a collective panic attack. Bleeding, Shizuya realizes who is attacking. The players are back. And his eyes narrow because this game is far from over. Just as things were looking up, Katona gets blasted by a laser, and Akina can only watch in horror from the ground. This entire group just freezes, watching the little girl fall. Absolutely losing it, Takuto screams her name. Fueled by pure rage, Akina gets to her feet and charges forward. Our boy and Kakon are right on her heels, running for their lives. Shizuya realizes the player's archer was not aiming for the soldiers. Their target was Katona all along. Akina unleashes her hate chain, pouring all her fury into the blast. Her energy slams right into the armored player. This player is down, but Takuto cannot restrain Akina's rage. She screams for him to let her go, desperate for revenge. Shizuya yells at them to get back inside. It is a trap, and a giant foot stomps down, blocking their path. He suddenly remembers something critical and his face just drops. It is a golem, an allied unit for the Azure Land faction, but players exploited a bug to lure bosses into its safe zone. Just then, the whole cave entrance starts collapsing around them. That armored player gets back up, charging another attack, and blasts the golem, which was supposed to be their ally. Kakon points out the armored player is absorbing the golem's energy. And yup, the archer gets a title for conquering the cave. Talk about a participation trophy. Shizuya realizes that to these players, they are just experience points. All their struggles and bonds are just pawns in someone else's game. Suddenly, a system prompt offers him an omnipotent power-up, but he will be hunted for a week. Meanwhile, Kakon can only stare, stunned by the sudden light show. Our boy hits accept and instantly gets a wizard skill plus a warning that players are on his tail. This system just keeps dumping skills on him, guardian abilities, blessings, the works. He even nabs an archer skill, leaving the actual archer wondering if the game is bugging out. This knight player, however, is not waiting for a patch and gets ready to attack. With no other choice, Shizuya prepares to unleash his newfound power. He immediately launches a fireball right at the knight's face. His new trait lets him follow up with a rush attack because why not combo on your first try? This kick shatters the knight's armor, a brutal first day on the job performance. He then asks the dissolving player how it feels to be left behind. As the player dies, Shizuya absorbs their loot, even getting skills from the twin demons. This kid is basically stealing the powers of the bosses they were meant to kill. Behind him, the civilians see this wall of energy and start panicking. Now our boy stands before the golem, which is apparently his new best friend. In his hand, he holds the essence of Takudo and Akina's power. Shizuya clenches his fist, now holding the essence of his fallen allies. And his new best friend, the golem, immediately tries to turn him into a pancake. With glowing eyes, our boy declares he is taking over this fight. A system window pops up, helpfully explaining he cannot damage this thing at all. He knows fighting it head-on is stupid, but he has got an idea. This golem stomps down and Shizuya is just trying to buy a few seconds. Using a new skill, he starts blasting away, suddenly feeling way too confident. His mana shots slam right into the golem's face and do absolutely nothing, which is just fantastic for morale. Its eyes start glowing red because it is payback time. Shizuya immediately realizes he is in deep, deep trouble. As the golem unleashes a giant red death beam right at him, he sprints for cover with the laser tearing up the ground behind him, carving a massive trench where he was standing a second ago. With no other choice, he throws up a defensive shield he just got, which gets absolutely obliterated by the sheer force of the blast, sending our boy flying through the air like a ragdoll. Kakon and the others can only watch in horror, screaming his name. Battered and bruised, he tells them to run while he keeps the big guy busy. But with no strength left to move, it looks like this is the end of the line. With new power coursing through him, Shizuya screams for everyone to move. Kakon and the others scramble out of the way, not arguing for once, because our boy is charging straight at the giant golem all by himself. This golem winds up for a classic ground pound ready to flatten him, but Shizuya's not intimidated, his eyes glowing with a new plan. Its glowing red eyes lock onto him, the new primary threat. He quickly realizes the golem's aggro has officially switched to him, which makes sense since these things are designed to protect players. This game logic is simple. If the target shifts, a player is dealing damage. Using a new blessing, he decides to draw its fire away from the civilians. He plants his feet ready to make a move, then launches himself like a rocket straight at the giant's chest. This thing might be tough, but he knows it has a weak spot. A classic energy core hidden right behind its chest armor. With a massive burst of energy, he slams his attack right into the core. But the golem is way faster than it looks, swatting him out of the air, unleashing a sweep mana attack as he is thrown back, which explodes all over the golem's chest in a shower of light, creating a massive chain reaction of pure energy, and the whole thing goes up in a brilliant flash, leaving everyone stunned. Kakon can only watch in horror, screaming Shizuya's name. Caught in the explosion, our boy thinks he is done for. His last thought is that this is the end of the line. And a massive pillar of light erupts from the ground, visible for miles. From a distance, the energy beacon just dominates the landscape, which attracts a new, very edgy-looking armored warrior. 12 hours later, a military chopper is investigating the Shadow invasion, finding nothing but a smoking crater where the action went down. A new arrival steps onto the scene, drawn by the light show from last night. This green-haired guy speculates it was just a monster self-destructing. His partner, a red-haired girl with some serious dental work, is not so sure. She wonders if someone else actually managed to corner these monsters. Suddenly, the green-haired dude senses a presence nearby, spotting a lone silhouette standing in the woods. It is the same armored warrior from before, looking like a final boss. This red-haired girl immediately labels it an elite monster, ready to rumble. Hoisting her giant hammer, she is clearly impressed by its power level. And with a terrifying grin, she asks if it is here to entertain them. This is her idea of fun. Her partner just sighs, explaining she is unstoppable once she gets worked up. Then Satsuki launches her attack, promising this will be over quick. This armored warrior counters Satsuki's attack with a brutal kick, and she hits the ground hard, already coughing up blood. Her green-haired partner steps up to face the silent attacker, who immediately stabs him right through the throat, making it very clear this enemy is on another level entirely. This guy is just frozen in absolute shock. As the warrior turns and walks away, their point apparently made. Satsuki gets back up, furious they were just spared like that, but her partner suspects they were never the real target to begin with. Meanwhile, in some hazy, dreamlike transition, Shizuya's eyes snap open. He is somehow still alive. This first thing he sees is a cute bunny plushie, which is odd. And he has absolutely no idea where he is, realizing he has woken up in a girl's bedroom. Our boy sits up, head spinning with total confusion, only to discover his right hand is now a monstrous armored claw, a little parting gift from absorbing the golem's exploding core. A system window conveniently pops up to give him the patch notes, confirming he has absorbed traits from the golem and the twin demons, and based on the upgrades, he guesstimates he is around level 25 now. Shizuya wakes up, still rocking his new monster arm and zero context. His first clue is the smell of food, a definite upgrade from explosions. Then he hears a singing voice that could probably kill a small animal. This source of the smell is a single, lonely fried egg, and his mysterious savior is a blue-haired girl with headphones and a plate. Our boy peeks out, trying to figure out if this is a dream or just a very weird kidnapping. He cannot help but think how peaceful this is, which is just asking for trouble, especially when he flashes back to the city currently on fire. Yeah, outside is just a whole lot of rain and apocalyptic ruin, but inside they are having a cozy breakfast while the world ends. Shizuya politely lies that the food is good despite not having an appetite. She immediately calls his bluff, knowing her cooking is a biohazard. Her survival plan is apparently a week's worth of cup noodles, a true gourmet. She explains she was just out shopping when she stumbled upon his unconscious body. He finally asks if she dragged him all the way here by herself. Apparently she found a golf cart and saw zero monsters, which sounds totally legit. Suddenly she gets serious, saying something about him feels off, pointing out he has absolutely no fear or anxiety about this whole situation. She realizes he is not even worried about the possibility of dying, and seems to confirm her own theory about what he is. She reveals she has tested this theory before, and for some reason the monsters just do not attack her. In a flashback, she is literally surrounded by them in the ruined streets, even when she gets right up in their faces. They completely ignore her existence, a VIP pass to the apocalypse. She wonders if it is a superpower, kinda like his new monster arm. So Shizuya asks if she sees any game-like UI, which she does not. He decides to just show her, transforming his arm into something new, which becomes a massive energy bow, confirming his powers are from a game called Azure Land. As he explains the world is basically turning into the game, she listens intently, then immediately declares her monster repellent power is way cooler, zero arguments from me. But Shizuya realizes if he is right, humanity is totally screwed. She gets to the point asking what his next move is. Our boy needs to get to Kaijo to find his friends. He is worried sick about his comrades and she just listens, a new idea clearly forming in her head. With a smirk, she announces she is coming with him. Shizuya tries to talk her out of it since he is basically a walking target, but she counters that being alone just leaves her with no direction, and besides, she has another reason. Her other reason is a flashback. She found him and just knew he was not the type to die, but their peaceful breakfast is suddenly cut short by a noise from outside. And Shizuya's eyes narrow, instantly on guard. This girl looks up, sensing the immediate shift in the atmosphere, because he has picked up a distinct sound coming from the front door. Someone is trying to force the lock, which is never a good sign. Shizuya immediately shushes her, his monster arm ready for a fight, telling her to go hide while he handles whoever's breaking in. She scrambles for cover as he calmly walks to the door, breakfast tray in hand. What a host. He quickly wraps his arm in bandages, hoping this is all just paranoia. Cracking the door open, he offers a casual hello to the silhouette outside, revealing 3 hooded survivors who look anything but friendly. Shizuya puts on his best smile, asking who they might be. This leader apologizes, claiming they thought the place was empty. Our boy plays along, saying it is fine since survival is the top priority. One of them explains they have been running from monsters, surprised to find anyone. So Shizuya invites the complete strangers inside out of the rain because that is a great idea. He even offers them a drink, committing to this whole welcoming neighbor act. This trio steps inside, taking in the room with a little too much interest. While the girl hides, one of the newcomers asks for the bathroom and she nervously points the way. Hiding nearby, the blue-haired girl can only watch in suspense. Shizuya continues his perfect host routine, serving drinks to the newcomers. But the guy with glasses immediately starts probing for weaknesses, asking about our boy's conveniently bandaged right hand. Shizuya spins a lame story about falling down, totally unrelated to the apocalypse. They notice he is well-stocked and he just plays it off as an online shopping habit. This leader then asks about his plans, trying to scope out the situation, and drops a not-so-subtle hint that this place would be perfect for 3 people. Suddenly, the third guy attacks from behind with a pipe, so much for survivor solidarity. But Shizuya's monster arm bursts free, ready to block the blow, catching the pipe mid-swing, which was definitely not part of their plan. This glasses wearer panics and pulls out a taser, escalating things quickly. Shizuya just casually dodges the attack like it is nothing, then kicks the taser right out of the guy's hand, following up with a brutal kick that sends him flying across the room. This leader charges in, swinging his own pipe in a rage, only to get a monster claw straight through the chest for his troubles. With 2 down, the last survivor calls him what he is, a monster. This guy on the floor accuses him of being a monster in disguise to trap them, and Shizuya confirms it, saying it is a good thing he is a monster now. His monster arm smashes the taser, clarifying he is not the helpless civilian they were hoping for. Then it morphs into a massive blade because he is the exact opposite of helpless. But his new partner suddenly screams for him to stop the attack, because a 4th person has just joined the party and not in a good way. This new guy has a knife pressed right against her throat, announcing that if Shizuya makes a single move, she dies. This purple-haired punk gloats that he knew she was hiding, while she can only apologize for getting caught. Shizuya, however, apologizes for underestimating just how awful people can be, admitting he foolishly thought her monster immunity meant she was totally safe, forgetting that in a world without rules, humans are the real monsters. So now the room is a tense standoff with 2 goons down and 1 holding all the leverage. This hostage-taker nervously explains he was just drawn in by the smell of food, clearly regretting his life choices. And staring at Shizuya's glowing monster arm is definitely not calming him down. Shizuya proposes a hostage exchange, secretly banking on them not knowing his arm has a ranged attack. But the guy gets greedy and demands supplies instead, giving the girl a chance to act, when a massive blade just erupts right out of his chest, leaving the blue-haired girl completely stunned by the sudden turn of events. This hostage-taker can only look down in disbelief as he has been run clean through. She turns to Shizuya, calling his name in absolute shock, only to realize the sword is not his at all, it is coming from asterisk her asterisk. Peeking through the aftermath, Shizuya is at a total loss for words, because the killer is a fully armored level 41 player named Noble, and she is here thanks to a game mechanic called Hate Stalk, basically a revenge tracker, which lets a defeated player hunt down their killer to reclaim lost items. Yep, the blue-haired girl is Noble and she tells Shizuya to get out of there, while the last surviving goon looks up in absolute terror and gets a fist straight through the chest for his troubles. So much for teamwork, but her real target is not the goons at all, it is Shizuya. With zero hesitation, she lunges and tackles him right across the room. Shizuya desperately tries to kick her off, but her momentum carries them both straight through the window, sending them plummeting down the side of the building in the pouring rain. Thinking fast, Shizuya pops a rapid mana skill, charging up an attack mid-fall, but Noble is right on his tail, diving in for the kill. Our boy manages to catch himself on the building's facade, sliding down, while Noble makes a much less graceful landing in the street below. She is already back on her feet, watching as Shizuya makes a break for it. And he is not sticking around to ask questions, just pure unadulterated running. Already feeling the impact, shocked by the raw power of her initial attack, he ducks into a stairwell, popping a couple of healing skills to patch himself up. Shizuya admits his build is all tricks with physical strength that is still total garbage, but he does not have time to worry because Noble is already on his heels, stalking up the stairs with her sword glowing, looking like a final boss. So our boy whips around and fires off a sweet mana blast, which she just walks through like they are annoying mosquitoes. This vengeful knight just keeps coming, a literal shadow on the landing. Then she fires a technical shot right back at him, forcing Shizuya to parry with a powerful sword attack of his own. Their energy attacks collide in a massive explosion of blue light, and the kid is back to running for his life down the stairs, firing blindly behind him just to create some distance. While realizing the game's 2D map is his only real advantage here, since a narrow stairwell is perfect for outsmarting a pursuer. But wits alone will not cut it, so he spots a jug of something flammable. He leaps over the railing and casts a fireball, deciding this chase ends now. This whole thing goes up in a massive explosion, sending a chain reaction of fireballs right down the side of the building. Shizuya watches the inferno, thinking he has finally won, until a figure just casually walks right out of the flames, completely unharmed, and his face says it all. That was his best shot and it did absolutely nothing. Noble casually reveals her priest-class skill, Saint Breath, so that is why she is fireproof. Looking up at the building, she wonders if more shadows are on their way. Shizuya gets blasted by her energy attack while trying to escape up the stairs. He realizes this knight is on a whole other level than anything he has faced before. Back on the train, he only survived by exploiting terrain and enemy skills, but this time he knows there will not be any second chances. Suddenly, a massive bolt of lightning cracks across the sky. Through the window, Shizuya sees the flash and a light bulb goes off. A plan clicks into place. He has got an idea. His eyes lock onto the rooftop door, thinking he has found a way out. Meanwhile, the blue-haired girl is running through the flooded streets below. Soaked and worried, she can only think about Shizuya's safety. The sounds of battle from the building have her fearing the worst. Then she spots another shadowy monster materializing down the street. She wonders if this is a companion to the armored knight chasing Shizuya. Feeling completely powerless, she realizes the situation is spiraling out of control. Her gaze falls on a nearby truck, sparking a desperate idea. Inside the cab, she grabs the wheel, ready to put her plan in motion. With grim determination, she knows this is something only she can do, and the new monster turns its glowing eyes right towards her. Busted. This storm rages over the city, lightning everywhere, perfect for a dramatic finale. Shizuya makes it to the rooftop, ready to spring his master plan, but Noble is right there waiting for him because of course she is. She powers up with a menacing green aura, looking ready to end his whole career. Shizuya just smirks, completely unfazed by the final boss standing before him. Noble mocks him for being cornered as a massive shadow monster materializes behind her. With zero hesitation, our boy decides to go all in on his crazy idea. A massive magic circle starts glowing on the rooftop, trapping them both. This trap activates, pulsing with raw power. It is go time. He channels the energy, his monster arm ready to unleash hell, which transforms into a gigantic crystalline blade aimed right at Noble. Suddenly, a new challenger with a giant hammer drops in, asking who they think they are attacking. This newcomer slams their hammer down, shattering the rooftop with the impact. This hammer itself gets knocked away, a sign of an even stronger presence. And yup, a pink-haired fighter just showed up to block the attack. The party is getting crowded. This new arrival challenges the hammer wielder to a duel, completely ignoring Shizuya. This armored fighter boasts about a power-up from their comrades, which just makes the pink-haired one even more annoyed, ready to throw down. These two newcomers immediately start brawling, turning the rooftop into their personal arena, and the armored one gets launched up a skyscraper. So much for Shizuya's big plan. This armored brawler goes flying, courtesy of a rooftop eviction. Up on the roof, the pink-haired fighter mocks her opponent's lack of spirit. Her attention then turns to the main event, wondering who this wild guy is. That wild guy is Shizuya, locked in a brutal clash with Noble in the rain. Noble immediately lands a clean slice across his face, but our boy pushes back with everything he has got, monster arm blazing. His opponent, however, is balancing on a wire like it is a casual Tuesday. Shizuya barely dodges a massive leg blade attack that craters the roof. Then he sees Noble's armor regenerating with a familiar green glow. It is that Saint Breath skill again, making her practically invincible. He knows he is just getting worn down unless he can sever that healing link. Meanwhile, Noble just keeps coming, powered up and ready to end this. Our boy desperately tries to figure out how to take down the healer he cannot even see. With another lunge, the knight closes in for the final blow, and just then the healing link just breaks, leaving Shizuya stunned. His eyes dart down to the street below, spotting a familiar-looking truck. Inside, Kakon is celebrating a job well done. She has figured out the shadow monsters will not attack her directly, so with a wicked grin, she grabs a massive lever, ready for phase 2. A bright light flashes outside as she aims the truck's machinery right at her target. And bam, the shadow monster acting as the healer gets blasted from below. Kakon is in absolute shock that her wild plan actually worked. This reveals the healer is a green-haired guy who looks extremely put out. He is genuinely surprised that ordinary citizens are even trying to resist, and complains that getting involved is not his style. Dude, you are the support class. Elsewhere, another masked player mocks the healer for his poor teamwork. Then we cut to a different rooftop where a new black-haired guy is on the run. He is being chased by a shadow knight crackling with blue energy, which unleashes a Leon slash attack, scaring the hell out of him. Our new guy summons a monster arm just like Shizuya's to block the blow, but immediately gets a foot planted right in his face. So much for that. He stomps the ground in frustration, already on the back foot. His eyes glowing with fury, he is not taking this loss well. This poor guy is back to scrambling away from the onslaught, realizing he was just a split second away from getting taken out. He knows these are Azure Land players, the same invaders from before, and the longer the fight drags on, the stronger they become. But for some reason, he thinks buying time is his only chance to win. A plan clicks into place, a confident smirk on his face, because a massive bolt of lightning just hit a nearby building. Sound familiar? And the black-haired guy's plan works. The Shadow Knight gets zapped by a massive lightning bolt. Its status window confirms it is paralyzed and near death, so that is one problem solved. This knight's sword even shatters on the rooftop, a pretty definitive sign of defeat. With a final crash, the armored pursuer collapses into the rain. Our new guy immediately starts monologuing about his opponent's tactical failures. A real poet, this one. He smugly explains that the knight lost to the rules of the world, then gives a whole science lesson on how lightning rods work, because of course he does, while also showing off some fancy footwork that kept him from getting fried too. He even admits the whole thing was a wild gamble that could have easily killed him instead. But he took the risk, powering up his own electric blade for the finisher. With one final stab, he moves to end his pursuer for good. Except the knight's body is not disappearing, which is usually a very bad sign. A massive surge of energy erupts from the defeated knight's surprise. Suddenly, a new voice challenges the knight from the darkness, tired of all the drama. This whole area explodes in a blast of pink, destructive energy, and a pink-haired girl with a giant hammer smashes through a wall, ready for a real fight. Her eyes are glowing, and she looks absolutely thrilled to be here. This down knight channels its remaining power into one last lightning spear aimed right at her. She just swings her hammer to meet the attack head-on, no big deal. With a terrifying grin, she declares this is exactly the kind of battle she has been waiting for. A new red-haired player named Satsuki is told to halt her pursuit, and she is absolutely not happy about letting her target escape. This green-haired healer explains their own elite monster got a retreat order too. He is complaining to his partner in the car that he is about to lose it. Satsuki finally gets the memo. The boss is calling everyone to assemble. Meanwhile, another blue-haired girl observes these invaders, noting they are not like Shizuya. This healer sets a rendezvous point, confirming they are just one cell in a larger group, but she decides her priority is still checking on Shizuya's status. From a gargoyle's perch, a lone figure is spotted on the street below. Turns out the Watcher is a terrifying bird-like monster with a glowing red eye. We jump to 107 hours into the invasion as military choppers fly over a ruined city. A distress signal comes in, giving the squadron a new set of coordinates. Cat 5 is ordered to execute a rescue but reports they are not equipped for a large group. Headquarters clarifies the mission is just for 2 survivors, 1 male, 1 female. This pilot double-checks the origin of the distress signal as they approach. Their helicopter swoops down toward a pair of people on a desolate rooftop. A completely new guy and girl celebrate their rescue. Wait, these are not our heroes. This girl immediately gets suspicious, demanding to know who is in the chopper. Inside, the pilot is just as confused, saying he was expecting a different couple. He names the people he was sent for, and the survivors are shocked he knows them. Inside the chopper, the pilot is talking about the 2 survivors he just picked up. This new guy explains they were on a refugee mission when they got the radio. Their ride soars over the absolutely wrecked city below, and the pilot is not feeling optimistic, mentioning the lack of any good news. He plans to drop them at a shelter, but the survivor wants to know the next stop. After a sudden sneeze from blue hair, the pilot agrees to share his destination. Turns out he is headed to Kaijo, the front line against the shadows. which is exactly where the survivor wants to go, much to the pilot's horror. This pilot warns him it is a reinforcement run, basically a one-way trip. He just cannot understand why anyone would willingly fly into that mess. But the blue-haired girl chimes in, saying her comrades are there and she can handle herself. Convinced they are not helpless, the pilot finally agrees to take them along. She then immediately starts grilling the guy about his motivations and gets real specific, asking if his important comrade is a girl. He plays along, confirming one is, but there are others too. She just smirks, pretending to be jealous of his friend group. Then she fakes a yawn because this is the oldest trick in the book, and asks to borrow his shoulder for a nap, not really waiting for an answer. Our poor guy just accepts it, closing his eyes for a moment, only to snap them open in total shock. Something is definitely not right. This pilot screams they have arrived at the drop point and are already under attack. His blue-haired companion immediately asks Shizuya what is wrong. Shizuya just stares ahead, completely rattled by some unseen threat. And we see why. Outside, the city is an absolute war zone. Down on the streets, tanks and soldiers are unleashing hellfire. Suddenly, a massive magic circle appears right under their feet. This cannot be good. Blue energy erupts from the sigil, frying the entire squadron instantly. From the circle, a massive armored beast is summoned onto a nearby rooftop. This military immediately responds, launching a volley of missiles right at it, and the whole rooftop explodes in a massive fireball. But a winged monster flies out of the smoke, confirming its target is eliminated. Turns out the target was the military, and now it is grabbing their chopper. With a massive explosion, the helicopter is completely obliterated. Back at HQ, all the friendly signals just blink out of existence. This whole slaughter, by the way, is just a chess game to some giant armored entity. It casually picks up the winged monster piece, another move made, then places it on another part of the board, the game continuing. Because back in the city, a truly colossal monster now towers over the buildings. And that is not the only one. Another giant is smashing its way through the streets. Looking over the devastation, Shizuya reveals he has another personal reason for going to Kaijo. Shizuya's secret reason for coming here is still under wraps. He is connecting the dots. This city is a real-life game dungeon, and that clock tower is actually the infamous Gloom Tower, which means this whole place is Kaijo, the first major fortress. Outside, the city is just getting absolutely shredded by explosions. A soldier is having a full-blown crisis, realizing his modern weapons are useless. Because yeah, you do not bring a rifle to a giant monster fight. Their targeting systems are down, and Shizuya calmly explains it is a barrier. Our boy knows these monsters are using counter-tactics. They are not just mindless beasts. He has even fought these flying nightmares before in the game. Suddenly, he calls out to Kakon, who is understandably confused. With zero time to explain, he asks if she can whistle. She says yes, still having no clue what his insane plan is. And then he just shoves her right out of the chopper. Kakon goes plummeting towards the ground, screaming her head off. Shizuya just watches her fall because this is apparently trust, just as a sleek mechanical dragon swoops in to catch her midair. With his companion safe, Shizuya summons a massive glowing sword. He stands ready to jump, facing down a monster way bigger than their ride. And the pilots finally realize just who they have been chauffeuring this whole time. Shizuya screams at the pilots to just run for it. Up in the sky, a winged monster is buffing the entire enemy horde. Another beast gets absolutely vaporized by a powerful attack, only a 5-second cooldown. This whole sky is just a chaotic storm of missiles and monsters. Realizing he is useless up here, Shizuya just jumps right out of the chopper. He immediately gets caught in the blast wave, a very well thought out plan. And of course, a whole swarm of dragons spots the lone human snack falling from the sky. They all dive right for him, a terrifying, coordinated attack. Our boy can only brace for impact, completely overwhelmed. Just as a monster's jaws are about to snap him in two, this beast suddenly shatters into a million pieces around him. A hand grabs his, pulling him out of the freefall. And it is Kakon on her dragon, making the most dramatic entrance possible. He is stunned she came back, but she is just like, obviously I came to save you. She admits she figured out his whistle plan, even though it scared her half to death. Her little shadow dragon looms in the background, looking pretty intimidating. Now riding together, she says the dragon will help them, but seems confused, because their new ride suddenly starts bucking like a wild animal. Kakon is freaking out since it was perfectly obedient a second ago. And Shizuya explains it is because the dragon does not see him as an ally. Shizuya explains that unlike her dragon, some monsters like griffins are actually good guys programmed to catch falling players, but their current ride is trying its best to scrape Kakon off on a skyscraper. This dragon smashes right into the side of a building, completely out of control, and Kakon is getting absolutely thrashed in the process, not a smooth flight. As the beast flies off, Shizuya realizes he needs to try something new. He tells Kakon he needs to talk to their rebellious mount, which sounds completely insane, so she starts trying to sweet-talk the beast, telling it Shizuya is a friend. She basically gives it a pep talk, asking it to be a good kid and land them safely. Shizuya just watches, totally stunned that she can actually do this. He has never seen a player who could communicate with monsters before. Because in the game, monsters were just loot drops, not potential friends. Only a total anomaly like Kakon could even think to try this. He even wonders if she is a more special existence than he is, a rare moment of humility. With the dragon finally tamed, it gently drops them into the water below. Kakon thanks their scaly Uber driver as they splash down. She even wishes it well as it flies off into the night, so wholesome. Floating in the water, she asks why he is so quiet, but he just plays it cool. After that whole ordeal, they finally wash up on the shores of Kaijo. By campfire, Kakon asks him what the plan is now that they are here. And Shizuya admits the situation is way worse than he thought, the enemy's already taken over. Looking over the ruined city, the scale of the problem sinks in. Kakon immediately starts grilling him about his friend's location, specifically Kadu. He just turns to leave, not saying a word, but she grabs him, insisting it is suicide, while he argues that is exactly why he has to go. This whole hero act has her completely exasperated, calling him stubborn. Shizuya calmly says he has a plan, basically daring her to go instead, and she is like, actually, yeah. Since monsters ignore her, it is the safest option, flawless logic. He points out her monster repellent feature might not be permanent, but she is not hearing it. That look on her face says she is not taking no for an answer. Our boy just sighs, completely outmaneuvered. She gets all buddy-buddy demanding a photo, but it has been 2 years since they met up. He finally pulls up a group picture on his phone, and Kakon immediately zeroes in on one of his friends, a woman named Hitomi. He tries to downplay it, but Kakon's already decided this is the important comrade from before. With a new mission, she is all fired up, promising to find them for him. Shizuya sets up a rendezvous point, still warning her not to get cocky. And then she is just dragging him along, all business now. Later, on a rooftop, Kakon lets out a yawn, just in time to see her personal ride swooping in from the sky. Shizuya just watches, thinking she is adapting to this whole apocalypse thing way too fast. Shizuya reveals he sent Kakon away as part of a bigger plan, because he cannot let her get caught up in the hell that is coming. Meanwhile, the military rolls out tanks to face the new threat, which turns out to be an entire cavalry of demonic knights, not exactly standard procedure. This fantasy army charges head-on into modern military hardware, creating a scene of absolute, beautiful chaos on the streets. A soldier tries to strategize, ordering a retreat to a nearby park, while a sniper lines up a perfect shot on a monster archer. But the monster totally spots him because of course it does. It prepares a magical counterattack ready to delete the sniper from existence, and the soldier gets absolutely blasted by a bolt of energy, only to be saved at the last second by Shizuya himself. Our boy immediately returns fire with a pistol, looking way too calm. This monster gets completely lit up, probably was not expecting a Glock. After the save, the soldier asks which unit he is from, totally clueless. Shizuya just asks for the nearest command center, all business. He gets his answer and puts the pieces together. This real-world Kaijo station is his target, which he knows is the location of the Nest Core from the game, and with a new goal in mind, he sprints off to find the governor of humanity. Shizuya decides to keep his special powers under wraps for now. Meanwhile, soldiers are sweeping through the subway station. He figures the trains are still running in this human-controlled zone, which is when a dozen automated turrets pop out to say hello. They immediately open fire, turning the platform into a kill box, but our boy just summons a crystalline shield like it is nothing. It easily tanks all the bullets because of course it does. Then he charges up a rapid mana blast of his own and just completely obliterates the entire defense system, only to find himself surrounded by a squad of very jumpy soldiers. Shizuya immediately tries the "Hey, I am human" defense. Their leader is not buying it, asking why he set off the shadow-exclusive alarm. This is news to Shizuya. Humanity has anti-monster tech already. He tries to play it cool, insisting he is just a regular guy. But then his face changes, he senses something coming. Down the tunnel, that demonic cavalry is charging right for them. This soldiers open fire, completely panicked, and the monster horde just keeps coming, an unstoppable wave of death. Realizing this place is a lost cause, Shizuya makes a break for it. He leaps onto a moving train, making a clean getaway. Shizuya is literally train surfing his way to the command center. He punches the roof, supercharging the whole thing with lightning, basically turning the train into a high-speed bullet. On their radar, he is just a single red blip closing in way too fast. Our boy is just riding the lightning, looking cool as hell. Until he spots the heavily armed welcoming committee on the platform. A soldier immediately lines up a shot, no questions asked, firing a round straight for our boy's head, which Shizuya just casually swats away like a fly. He is feeling pretty good about himself, thinking his power is top tier, right before getting absolutely swarmed by golden projectiles. Now completely surrounded, he knows he has to break through, but he is trying to do it without hurting anyone. What a saint. Suddenly, a man in a fancy suit orders everyone to cease fire, and the soldiers actually listen, much to Shizuya's surprise. This guy covers for him, blaming the whole thing on an alarm malfunction. Walking down the stairs, this newcomer declares Shizuya is not a monster. In fact, he confidently tells his men that Shizuya is an ally. Shizuya just stares, wondering who the hell this guy is. Meanwhile, the military command center remains on high alert. This military's temporary command center is looking seriously fortified. A guy in a crisp white suit strolls right up, already knowing Shizuya's full name. He then casually asks if our boy was planning to massacre the entire squad. Shizuya insists he just wants to cooperate while trying to place this familiar face. Surrounded by soldiers, the tension is just a little thick, you know, but the suit just smirks, pointing out they were the ones trying to kill him. Our boy just takes it, knowing politeness is worthless in a war zone. An older man in a trench coat interrupts, calling the suit Representative William. When Shizuya asks if he is a comrade, William gets all huffy about his reputation. He gets way too friendly, introducing Shizuya as a VIP who slipped past their radar. Through his shades, the old-timer asks if Shizuya is also an Oathkeeper. William just laughs it off, teasing him for using game lingo. This meeting is set for 1 hour, and Shizuya's attendance is not optional. With a cheerful wave, William asks how big their entourage can be, and the answer is a very blunt 2 people, and that is final. Inside, William's first order is for Shizuya to take off his clothes. To take a bath and change into a fancy new suit, because apparently you cannot meet high command dressed like a train-surfing hobo. Shizuya agrees to an info swap first, and William is clearly very intrigued by him. And our boy realizes he is dealing with the Seam Group, a 1,000-year-old global power. Shizuya learns Seam Group is a megacorp into everything from finance to high-tech. Their business also covers advanced robotics and all sorts of shady science. And surprise, they are the creators of the VRM Morph Azure Land, the game that is now real. Getting down to it, Shizuya asks just how much they actually know about this apocalypse. William admits they are mostly in the dark too, since global networks are completely shot. He even casually drops that his people came up with the name Shadows for the monsters. In the bathroom, Shizuya wonders if that is why the alarms went off specifically for him, and William's like, yep, but says he can just add our boy to the system, easy fix. Shizuya is rightly suspicious, asking how they have a system ready in just 1 week. Turns out this whole invasion had a 2-week beta test before the public launch, a revelation that leaves our boy completely stunned in the middle of his shower. William explains they ran secret tests and warned all the international bigwigs, so Shizuya immediately asks why they did not bother telling, everyone else. To which William gives the classic to avoid a panic excuse with a smug little smile. While washing up, Shizuya connects the dots. The world's elite knew the game was real, but the military's attitude proves they do not fully trust Seam Group's version of events. He then calls William out, asking if their little secret is what caused all this chaos. William just deflects, claiming they had no idea when or where the attack would happen. After cleaning up, Shizuya gets into the fresh set of clothes they provided. And he spots a mark on the suit, wondering if this is the symbol of the Oathkeepers. William explains the Oathkeepers are basically a new anti-shadow task force. He even admits they're nowhere near as good as Shizuya's little subway rampage, but our boy turns down the fancy suit, opting for his own trusty coat. William just smiles, saying it was only a suggestion, totally not a test or anything. Then he immediately pivots, demanding to know what is up with Shizuya's monster hand. Shizuya plays dumb, claiming he only knows this world is a copy of Azure Land, and this gnarly arm of his is just a little side effect. He makes up a story about touching a shadow signal to get it, which William immediately recognizes as their term for monster energy circuits. This guy knows too much. He gets uncomfortably close, grabbing Shizuya's arm to inspect the raw power. There is some kind of scanner on William's wrist, getting a good look. And he seems pretty annoyed by whatever he is seeing or not seeing. Shizuya is all business, ready to go meet the stubborn old men in charge. With a smirk, William promises they will finish their chat later, using Shizuya's full name. It finally clicks, this is William Seam, the head of the whole corporation. A quick mental file shows William is a mega-rich heir on the cover of Time, not to mention a genius who took control of the entire Seam Group as a kid. Shizuya knows the creator of the game cannot possibly be this clueless about the invasion. This dude is a massive threat, and our boy cannot let his guard down for a second. A tactical map then reveals the invasion is global, but Kaijo was the main target from the very beginning. In the command center, a briefing reveals the enemy's strategy. They split human forces by attacking everywhere at once. Their whole plan was to hit Kaijo when its defenses were spread thin. Humanity managed to push them back for now, setting up a defensive line at a river. So a military officer confidently declares the initial invasion a total failure. This whole war room is feeling pretty good about holding the line, until William decides to crash the party with a very casual question. This old general in charge just wants to know what he wants, and William, with his usual flair, asks if the military can respawn, which gets a whole lot of confused stares from the top brass. He then drops the bomb that while humans cannot, shadows totally can. Pulling up his fancy wrist tech, William starts a little presentation on shadow biology. Turns out they have an outer shell that is basically immune to normal weapons, but their true form is an energy circuit underneath the armor, which they are calling a signal, a term Shizuya just happens to recognize. This signal lets them absorb matter to regenerate their bodies. Meaning as long as that core exists, they are effectively immortal. Great. This officer tries to shut him down, insisting they need to talk strategy, not science. So Shizuya steps up to translate for the slowpokes in the room. He lays it out plain and simple: you cannot fight these things like a human army, and the general finally gets it. Even with a 1,000 to 1 advantage, they are completely screwed. Shizuya literally puts his foot on their war table, spelling out their inevitable defeat. William agrees, arguing that the longer this war drags on, the worse their odds get. But our boy smells a rat. This guy is pushing way too hard for a direct attack. He then drops the real bombshell. This invasion is following the exact script of a game event, and there is a huge difference between game warfare and real warfare. See, in the game, you do not waste time on mobs, you go straight for the dungeon boss. A quick flashback reminds us his guild, Mapo Tofu, were absolute pros at this. Looking at the holographic city, he knows exactly what the shadows are about to do, and suddenly all the pieces just click into place. William's big plan is to take the fight to them and destroy their main objective, all while sporting a smug little grin like he is playing everyone like a fiddle. Shizuya immediately points to a specific spot on the map, asking about someone named Rin. He urgently demands to know where that building is, his focus completely narrowed. An officer identifies it as the headquarters for the Ritun Corporation. That name hits Shizuya like a lightning bolt. He knows that corporation, because in the game that exact location was the site of the Gloom Tower, which means the president of Ritun is the final boss of that dungeon, a nasty piece of work known as the Thunder Demon Lord, this very same boss from that creepy gothic castle in Azure Land. Shizuya grabs William in a panic, demanding to know if the HQ is secure. William yanks Shizuya by the collar, cutting his panic short. He slams our boy against the wall, clearly not a fan of the outburst, and with a snarl he just tells him to be quiet for a second. Then he calmly rephrases for the room. Shizuya wants to take the initiative. This old general just sips his drink, promising to seriously consider it, which means no, and with that the meeting's over, the top brass just walking out. In the hallway, Shizuya demands to know why William did not explain things properly. He calls him out for pushing an attack strategy that had zero mention of defense. William just sighs, pretending he should have coordinated better. His excuse is that the military would not have taken the game reality stuff seriously. Plus, why explain the game's code when 99% of players are just button mashers? But Shizuya is not buying it. If the military will not defend Ritun, who will? That question earns him a tiny, smug little smile from William, who turns to the window and asks, "Who said it is only them?" Outside, a fleet of helicopters is already waiting on the helipads, and a squad of seriously high-tech soldiers is on the move. Shizuya watches them from above, finally seeing William's real plan. He asks if this is William's private army. William confirms it. This is that Oathkeeper unit he mentioned before. And they are his personal trump card for protecting the boss dungeon. Shizuya questions if this small squad is enough, but William just tells him not to underestimate them. He then drops that according to his research, they are all on par with Shizuya's power level. William offers an introduction while also admitting he finds our boy's power way more intriguing, subtle. And Shizuya's face says it all. He is not buying a single word this guy says. Down on the ground, William introduces Shizuya as the newest member of the Oathkeepers. Our boy immediately spots some wild-looking gear, realizing they are recreating items from the game. And yeah, the whole squad looks like a full-on raid party pulled straight from Azure Land's character select. Getting down to business, William asks the masked squad leader for a mission status update. This leader confirms the objective is complete, but adds there was a little trouble along the way. Naturally, William's interest is immediately piqued by that particular word. It was nothing major, the leader claims as his hot-headed subordinate seethes beside him. Turns out the vice captain, Hashida, got a little sloppy and was detected ahead of schedule. Hashida is not happy about this, immediately screaming at his captain for snitching. This captain, ever the professional, just says he is reporting facts, letting the boss handle HR. William immediately cuts through the drama with a very simple "shut up." Then, like nothing happened, he tells them good work and sends them off to rest, but not before putting on a mask and casually reminding Hashida that vice captains are a dime a dozen. This hothead is left fuming, promising he will get his payback eventually. William then lets out a world-weary sigh about the burdens of leadership. What a performance. Now it is just William, Shizuya, and the quiet captain, the tension thick in the air. This tension between Shizuya and the masked captain is so thick you could cut it with a knife. William leads the captain away, leaving Shizuya to stew in his own uneasy thoughts. But a voice cuts in and our boy turns to see a guy with a literal ship's wheel on his back. In front of a row of tanks, Shizuya totally recognizes the guy. He pulls off his mask with a smug grin, asking if his face rings any bells. Shizuya is absolutely floored. It is Meiji-san from Azure Land. Meiji seems genuinely happy, wondering what brings him to this apocalypse party. With a totally not forced smile, Shizuya just explains William brought him here. Meiji asks if William's taken a liking to him, which Shizuya knows is a massive red flag. Apparently, William likes him more than Meiji, which is not a compliment. This prompts Meiji's real question: why are you hanging out with these guys? It is a long story, so Shizuya suggests they change locations for the full debrief. Their new spot is a neon sports bar, complete with armed guards, very low-key. They grab a table inside, finally ready to talk. Meiji explains his origin story: Shadows attacked and William conveniently saved him. Looking at Hashida drinking alone, Shizuya notes this alliance does not look so great. Meiji just gives a weary smile, admitting things are complicated. Then he absolutely chugs his beer, a man who has clearly earned it. Turns out Hashida was demoted for recklessness, making Meiji the new captain and his personal punching bag. Shizuya cuts right to the point, demanding to know how their abilities awakened. Meiji reveals their powers are not natural, they are all running on implanted shadow tech. But it is a bootleg version with terrible mana recovery, forcing them to constantly return to base. He then pivots, asking Shizuya what exactly William told him to get him here. Right on cue, Hashida crashes their chat, whining about an outsider in their exclusive bar. Meiji smoothly explains Shizuya was personally summoned by the boss, a perfect shutdown. This just enrages Hashida, who accuses Meiji of hiding behind William's authority again. His tiny brain then targets Shizuya, paranoid the kid is trying to steal his vice-captain's spot. Meiji finally loses his cool, yelling at him for daring to question the boss's orders. A pair of expensive-looking shoes steps into the frame, heralding the arrival of management. At the bar, a masked woman sighs, noting that Sato and Hashida are fighting again, a workplace classic. She casually points out the drama unfolding across the room. And sure enough, a guy in a white suit named Sato grabs Meiji's arm with William right behind him. Hashida is still trying to start something, flexing his DPS build against Meiji's healer class. With that, the two of them actually square up to fight, leaving Shizuya at ground zero. Hashida summons a massive fireball, promising to show everyone a miracle, which looks a lot like arson. Shizuya can only stare, wondering how this absolute idiot has managed to survive this long. But a sharp "stop it" echoes through the bar as William finally intervenes. He lays down the law, reminding Hashida that using his powers here is grounds for a court-martial. Still fuming, Hashida tries to pivot, calling Shizuya a spy since everyone's protecting him. William just puts an arm around our boy, calmly stating, "He is my friend," which sounds more like a threat. William's smile vanishes, replaced by a chillingly calm "do not ever say that again." And just like that, Hashida folds, his rage completely snuffed out by pure authority. This mask is back on as William plays the concerned boss, asking if Shizuya is hurt. What a performance. Meiji whispers that it is a good thing William stepped in before Shizuya had to. Our boy is just confused, asking why Hashida has it out for him, a total stranger. Meiji explains it is just pathetic insecurity. The guy is terrified of losing his vice-captain's spot. With a big operation coming up, Meiji says they cannot afford to let this idiot drag them down. William chimes in that Hashida is still a useful tool, he just needs a little re-education. Shizuya just smirks, playing along with William's thinly veiled threats. That is when William gets way too close, telling our boy to get ready for the next mission. Meiji seems genuinely relieved, admitting he will feel much safer with Shizuya on the team. So Shizuya cuts right to the point. What exactly is this mission? Turns out they are protecting a Ritun executive, right where the Gloom Tower is supposed to be. Meiji leans in, whispering that they are expecting elite monsters just like their old game raids, and the real kicker, William himself is participating in this operation. Meanwhile, back at military HQ, the old general asks his aide for a status report. She confirms that William is mobilizing his Oathkeepers for some kind of secret op. This general scoffs, annoyed that William is scheming while the army does the real fighting. His aide confirms the orders, suppressive fire only, and keep a very close eye on William's team. With that, he gives the go-ahead. The operation starts in 20 minutes, time to see William's hand. This mission briefing is simple. They are deep in enemy territory. An agent reports back to William that the subway is clear, and the whole Oathkeeper squad is assembled, ready for deployment. Of course, Hashida immediately spots Shizuya and starts complaining, but the original captain just tells him to shut up and follow orders. Another member warns him not to pick a fight with the new captain's friend. Hashida just seethes, promising he'd totally fight him if the boss was not watching. Sure, buddy. Nearby, Sato offers to educate the loudmouth for William. William, however, just tells him to let it be for now. Meiji tries to brush off the tension, telling Shizuya it is nothing. But our boy knows he's being kept in the dark about something. They arrive at the Ritun building, the official start of the operation. William clarifies the objective. This is not a simple extermination mission, they are looking for someone, leaving Shizuya and Meiji to exchange a very tense, knowing look. And our boy just gives a grim nod of agreement, while Meiji steps up, ready to take on his role as captain. This main trio then heads into the field, mission officially underway. Shizuya mentally checks his stats, figuring his current power is enough for the initial wave. But he decides to keep his signal ability under wraps for now, because outside a whole squad of armored shadows is already waiting for them. This welcome party arrives, a couple of big armored shadows. From above, they have got our boys completely boxed in at the entrance. Meiji immediately snaps into captain mode, ordering an alert formation. And down they come, leaping from the rooftops to start the fight. He starts barking out orders, assigning roles like a seasoned raid leader. With a quick Roger, the whole squad mobilizes on his command. One of the tanks steps up, ready to go toe-to-toe with a shadow, while another member, Yuki, goes for a full-power haymaker, screaming die. His glowing fist connects with a massive, screen-shaking impact, and he follows through, putting every ounce of strength into the blow. Meiji notes that Yuki's a nice guy. Until you put a weapon in his hand, then he is a psycho. Yuki takes a blade to the leg but manages to pin the shadow down, giving his partner Nokia the perfect opening to jump in for the kill. Just like that, the threat is neutralized, teamwork making the dream work. Shizuya is genuinely impressed, telling Meiji his leadership skills have leveled up. But Meiji just brushes it off, saying he is still a rookie compared to our boy. Shizuya gives him a little confidence boost, reminding him the team trusts their captain, and Meiji takes it to heart, stealing his resolve. Shizuya then delegates, telling Meiji to handle the small fry, because if any elite shadows show up, he and another member will take care of it personally. A massive golden explosion just completely shuts down an attack, sending the dual wielder flying back. And there is the elite, a giant armored shadow with a glowing shield, looking completely unfazed. Its shield smashes right into a fighter who screams for a retreat while getting absolutely launched. A swirling vortex of blue energy crashes into the shadow, but the thing is an absolute tank. With the big guy locked down, Meiji orders the rest of the team to advance. But a red flare suddenly lights up the sky, leaving Hashida and the others completely baffled. Meiji absolutely loses it, screaming about noble reinforcements, while Shizuya looks on unimpressed. A new guy in a yellow hood appears amidst the flames, ordering everyone to pull back. And by reinforcements, he means a one-man apocalypse summoning a giant freaking meteor. Hashida's fragile ego cannot handle being upstaged, vowing to take the thing down himself. What a team player. He powers up his own flames, screaming a challenge at the meteor, because that is a smart move. With a roar, he unleashes a torrent of fire straight at the descending threat. Meiji just facepalms, wondering if this absolute idiot has a death wish. This giant meteor just keeps coming, completely swallowing his attack without even slowing down, and it is about to make impact right on top of our resident tactical genius. His brain finally catches up to his ego, and Hashida can only stare in pure terror. At the last possible second, Shizuya finally makes his move, a blur of motion heading right for the idiot. He snatches Hashida out of the way, literally dragging him to safety. A massive pillar of blue light erupts from below, completely bisecting the fiery meteor. Meiji checks if the moron is okay, and Hashida just tells him to shut up, so grateful. Meiji yells at Shizuya to fall back with the rest of them, but our boy just smirks, saying this noble is way out of its league. He powers up his sword with crackling blue energy, ready to end this, and unleashes a massive Leon slash that fills the entire screen, instantly bisecting the meteor summoner, who just dissolves into nothing. With the outside clear, the team finally makes it inside the building. William asks about Hashida, and Meiji reports it is just a minor injury, nothing a little magic cannot fix. Suddenly, a giant spiked mace crashes through the window, signaling another attack. Meiji looks on in pure horror as the weapon barrels towards them. And it is being swung by one of their own teammates, Red Ponytail, or so it seems. Screaming a warning, Meiji dives to intercept the attack, throwing up a desperate green energy shield with both hands. He manages to block the guy, but the force sends them both flying back. Then the real attacker shows up, a massive armored golem with a chainsaw. This thing is huge, holding the mace that just crashed the party. Its weapon of choice is a giant flail on a heavy chain. This team stares up, wondering if it is some kind of security golem, but the original captain points out it is acting on its own initiative, which is impossible. Shizuya agrees a security golem would never attack unprovoked, and William reveals the truth: this is a special type of noble. William explains this is a disturber noble, a pilot with no attack power of its own, but some genius gamer figured out how to turn its construction golem into personal armor, effectively letting the disturber's mind possess a giant modifiable war machine. Shizuya recognizes the rare jewel needed for the upgrade, shocked to see it here, and William confirms the bad news. This means an entire elite shadow party is nearby. Right on cue, the golem hurls its massive flail straight at them, but some new guy with a trench coat screams for everyone to get down. He slams a massive ice wall into the ground, blocking the attack, telling the others to fall back while he buys them some time. This guy activates a full defensive stance, looking way too calm about this, bracing himself as the ice shield takes the full force of the blow. His teammates start pulling back, yelling that the shield is about to break. Shizuya just smirks because with everyone gone, he can finally go all out. This golem powers up a massive energy blade, ready for round 2, while our boy just casually leaps into the air, completely unfazed. This armored noble swings its heavy chain, aiming to smash him out of the sky. So Shizuya prepares a counter, a glowing lamp arrow, as the golem brings its weapon down with incredible force. That spiked ball of death fills the entire hallway, and it is about to make impact with our hero, but his little energy arrow just bounces right off the golem's arm. So Shizuya immediately switches to a defensive stance, surfing on a crystal platform. Meiji yells for him to get back before the real elite shadows show up. Too late for that, the golem's flail smashes the ground where he was standing. This thing makes it clear no one is getting out of here alive. And yeah, the size difference is just a little bit of a problem. Shizuya calls out to Meiji for some much-needed support. Meiji then orders Hashida and the others to back him up too. Hashida complains about helping that brat before promising some proper support. Oh no. And by support, he means launching a massive fire attack at both Shizuya and the golem. This blast lands right at our boy's feet because of course it does. Shizuya just gives him a look that says, "I am so done with you." Another teammate grabs Hashida, who blames his bad aim on Shizuya moving too much, a likely story. This older guy gives him one final warning: drop the petty grudge or he will make him. Meanwhile, the team realizes Shizuya is literally risking his life to protect them. This golem powers up, ready to bring the pain on a biblical scale. Shizuya barely dodges another attack that shatters the entire floor. Meiji sends over a haste buff, which our boy gratefully accepts. Now glowing with new speed, he faces down the golem's massive energy sword, which comes crashing down in a blinding flash of destructive light. Shizuya dodges the sword and whips out a magic scroll to counter, launching a basic fireball straight at the golem's head. This giant armored noble seems genuinely confused by this pea-shooter attack, but our boy holds his ground, completely unfazed by the massive size difference. He has already calculated the perfect distance, powering up his mana for the real shot. See, the face is a decoy weak point, but the real vulnerability is hidden. His first blast connects, shattering the outer plating, and the head armor cracks right open from the impact, revealing a small opening right in the center of its chest, which is exactly where the disturber pilot is hiding. With the weak point exposed, Shizuya fires a precision technical shot. This beam slams home, causing a massive internal explosion, a blast so powerful it even sends him flying back, and he just smirks, thinking that was way easier than the video game version. On second thought, maybe he has just gotten a lot stronger. Hashida and the others can only stare, absolutely floored that he soloed the boss. This team finally gives him some props as he stands on the defeated golem, but our boy has priorities. He immediately starts looting the corpse for drops. Hashida just looks on, completely baffled by this gamer behavior. While the team screams at him to get back, Shizuya's just calmly collecting his items. Shizuya asks if the others can even use his loot, ever the thoughtful gamer, when suddenly some new toughs show up looking completely lost. And over here, a guy in a fancy suit is giving orders like he owns the place. This conversation turns to whispers about how these new powers are not just random luck. Turns out, a SEAM group discovered a link between the shadows and the game world, so they launched the Prometheus project to study them, signed by a turtle with a crown naturally. This involved dissecting captured shadows with military help, because of course it did. Their first genius idea was transplanting shadow parts into humans, which went about as well as you'd expect. Plan B, use animals, which somehow worked, leading them to a very special tortoise. Humanity now calls this legendary creature the priest. All hail the magic turtle. This Will guy explains their powers are a cheap, defective knockoff compared to Shizuya's, and Shizuya points out they somehow did all this mad science in just 1 month, which is suspicious. But the guy just shrugs, claiming he is a pawn who does not know the real secrets. He then asks Shizuya about his own power, which our boy keeps secret even from his team. See, their gear is just cosplay, while Shizuya can actually integrate items into his system. They can get stronger through fusion, but the catch is getting stalked for a week by the item's original owner. And our new friend here is really not a fan of being stalked. That is why he works for SEAM Group. They help him, he gets to live a quiet life, a totally fair trade. He drops the bombshell. Shadows are acting like game mobs because someone at Written Group is illegally using the game's data. And the Shadows' big mission is to destroy Written and bury that secret for good. A single step forward signals the start of the next phase. This Will guy stops Meiji, asking for one last piece of info. But Shizuya cuts in, wondering if SEAM Group is really trustworthy. His new acquaintance just laughs, blaming his own cynical personality. He is just a regular salaryman and SEAM Group is a dream job. Elsewhere, William's team wakes up to a less than warm welcome. Their big bruiser tells them to shut up after their disgraceful performance. Another guy admits they owe their lives to someone named Kakitsubata, while William just walks off, taking a very important phone call. He reports that the sacrifice is proceeding smoothly, which sounds super evil. Cut to a rooftop with binoculars aimed at the Written Group tower. This lookout Kakitsubata reports no sign of any shadows nearby. He figures they have just turned off the lights to make it look abandoned. So William confirms there is no immediate danger on their approach. With the coast clear, the whole squad prepares to head inside, but someone's already sent in some tiny fly-sized drones, and a woman inside spots them immediately, calling them little mice. This team has officially arrived at the Written building. Inside, they find the main hall has been modified into 2 paths, so William splits the team, ordering them to meet at the top floor. William's team sweeps the Written building, reporting the 5th floor is clear. He radios in that even the 20th floor is empty, looking way too tense about it. This guy with a ship's wheel on his back tries to talk to his captain, while their big bruiser complains about the slow, meticulous search. William snaps, ordering him to lie and report the building clear, but the guy refuses. He is completely stunned by the order to falsify their report. His eyes just narrow with pure defiance, and he accuses William of threatening him with his authority again. Suddenly, a loud electrical buzzing fills the air, and William realizes it is jamming equipment. They have walked right into a trap. Meanwhile, on floor 26, Shizuya's team is in a different hallway. When one of them suddenly stops, hearing something on his comms, he tells the others he heard a noise from the room next door, but his teammates are clueless, having heard absolutely nothing. This guy insists, though, that he definitely recognized Meiji's voice. Shizuya, already listening at the wall, is not surprised they can hear each other, casually blaming it on thin walls and shoddy construction. But as he taps the surface, he realizes something is very wrong. He notes the ceiling is half a meter lower than standard building code, and recalling the emergency stairs had the correct height, he knows this entire floor is a fake. Shizuya confirms his theory about the hollow space to Meiji. Meiji immediately orders a call to someone named Saito, sensing trouble, but the radio is completely jammed, static just fills the line. Realizing they have been played, he yells for everyone to retreat. Suddenly, the ceiling above them starts to rumble, and the floor drops out from under them, confirming it was a trap all along. From above, a sprinkler system unleashes a massive cloud of gas. He instantly recognizes it as sleeping gas and tries to cover his face. His last thought is just how royally screwed they are. As his team drops around him, a woman in a suit orders them all captured. Waking up, our boy is greeted by a blinding interrogation light. Now tied to a chair, he is questioned by the woman about his identity and mission. Our boy just deadpans, asking if this is her version of a warm welcome. She leans in, clearly not amused by his attitude, then gets right in his face, demanding to know about his special right hand. This interrogator warns him they have their own connections to the shadows, so do not get cocky. Just then, the door opens and a voice orders Vice President Ayakawa to let them go. It is the fancy suit guy from SEAM Group, warning her that Shizuya is their young master and sponsor. Whoops. Ayakawa just scoffs, asking if SEAM Group should be picking fights when they cannot even handle their own cult problems. Her taunt earns a sharp rebuke from the bodyguard, who tells her to mind her own business. This bodyguard just sighs as Ayakawa storms off, throwing a final threat over her shoulder. As Shizuya's untied, he realizes this whole ambush was Ayakawa going rogue. Meanwhile, William's team is dismissed so their captain can have a private chat with the boss. Shizuya steps out into the hallway, learning the whole building's been in chaos since the shadows appeared. He then asks a guard for a favor, a quick database search for an old gaming friend. But the moment he says the name, he and Hitomi, the guard looks like he has seen a ghost. This guy completely panics, says absolutely not, and just bolts down the hallway, leaving Shizuya totally baffled by the sudden track and field event. Ayakawa reappears, demanding to know why he is looking for someone with a forbidden name. Our boy just explains he is here to check on a friend, nothing sinister. She actually recognizes his name, surprised he'd risk his life for Hitomi. So she hands him a keycard, telling him to go see for himself on the 33rd floor. He gets in the elevator, which climbs all the way up to the 37th floor, and he is immediately on guard, wondering if this is just another trap. He thinks back to Hitomi, recalling the huge difference between her avatar and her real self. Reaching the apartment, he knocks, just hoping she is really there. This door opens and it is her, looking just as shocked to see him. She is in a wheelchair, calmly asking how he has been since their last offline meetup. Inviting him inside, she offers him tea like it is just another Tuesday. While pouring, she casually asks if his dad was the one who brought him. Shizuya clarifies Ayakawa was his escort, then pivots to asking about her dad. She reveals his name is Genoza, sensing it is a touchy subject. Hitomi says she has made peace with it, explaining she used to be a tomboy who loved to box. A flashback shows her mom pushing dolls while her dad supported her hobbies, causing constant fights. Her father secretly let her box, which led to the accident that paralyzed her from the waist down. This fallout was devastating, with her parents' endless fighting culminating in her mother's suicide. Out of guilt, she changed her surname, and her dad just let her do it. To help her cope, her dad bought the entire company that runs her favorite game, a perfectly reasonable purchase. He brought her here a year ago promising a cure, but it has basically been house arrest ever since. With a smile, she says Shizuya is her first visitor, and he realizes her life is the plot of an in-game dungeon. Looking down, he sees the building's intense security is all for her protection. This pieces finally click. Her dad is the Gloom Tower's final boss, the Thunder Demon Lord, which means Genoza has possibly been preparing for this shadow invasion for an entire year. We get a shot of the infamous dungeon itself, the Epicrank Gloom Tower. This official lore explains the boss, Hanpa, started out as a simple merchant. He charmed his way into high society, cozying up to nobles for connections and resources. But as his business boomed, he completely abandoned his family. He did not even notice his daughter's illness until her cancer was terminal, truly a model parent. Desperate to make up for it, he learned magic and hired a tutor for her entertainment. Except that tutor turned out to be a literal demon because of course he did. This demon tutor's true face is revealed, a classic case of bad hiring. He opened a demon gate, unleashing hell on the kingdom, for funsies. Shizuya connects the dots, saying the shadows are targeting the elite and Genoza is next, so he drops the bomb on Hitomi. Her dad is in serious danger. Right on cue, a massive crash shakes the entire apartment. Outside, armored shadows are already trying to break down the door, and one of them just punches straight through the wall with a glowing fist. Shizuya grabs Hitomi's wheelchair, shouting that they have to run now. Meanwhile, Genoza is in a meeting with none other than William. William offers a circuit for all of Genoza's company data, a totally fair trade. He then dangles the cure for Hitomi's legs, asking if it is worth the price, but Genoza just calmly reminds him that Riton is his 20-year legacy. As shadows attack the building, William insists he is just here for business, pure coincidence. He gives Genoza a final chance to sell out before it is too late, but Genoza calls his bluff, wondering why he'd buy a dying company. William storms off, threatening to make him and Riton disappear. As he reaches for the door, he is about to get a big surprise. A loud crack from the ceiling makes him freeze in his tracks. Suddenly, a giant mechanical hand smashes down, grabbing him by the collar. Genoza's got toys. Genoza kneels by the briefcase, telling him he never makes a deal unless he is winning. Genoza stands over the briefcase, looking like he just won the world's most hostile takeover. He tells William to squirm all he wants, just absolutely savoring the moment. A blue energy field suddenly seals the room shut. Elsewhere, a blonde guy with shades realizes they are completely trapped. He is screaming for his team as mechanical arms pin him down. Hearing the commotion, the white suit guy and his shipwheel buddy sprint down the hall. They crash right into Genoza's robot security, fists flying. A few seconds later, the bots are just a pile of scrap metal. This white suit guy frantically asks where Genoza could have gone. His blonde subordinate vows to track the man down, looking furious. When asked about the employees, he coldly says Genoza left them to die first. Meanwhile, the actual employees are just a panicked mob trying to escape via elevator. This door slides shut, sealing them inside, only for an armored shadow to appear right in the middle of them. It unleashes a massive magic blast, wiping out the entire car. Shizuya, leading Hitomi, tries to calm the remaining guards, promising to get them out. They are freaking out, realizing their boss probably ditched them. Our boy gets on the radio, calling for William to help with the evacuation. That blonde guy is still arguing they should leave the employees. What a team player. Shizuya just tells the guards to save themselves and meet in the garage. These guards are totally losing it, screaming that Genoza abandoned his own daughter. Hitomi desperately tries to de-escalate, promising she will get them all out safely. Over the radio, Shizuya has to ask William for help, and William is just savoring the moment. Meanwhile, Genoza is just strolling down a hallway, cool as a cucumber, and walks right into an office with Ayakawa, revealing he has the circuit from William. Turns out she hacked Seam Group. Their whole takeover was a bluff just to get Ritun's data. She lays out their insane plan, using circuits to transfer game data and give people real-life powers. Genoza is floored, realizing they want to bring max-level game characters into reality, and that is why they targeted Ritun. Seam Group is apparently desperate for more data. This penny finally drops for Genoza. This was never about business, it is about world domination. And he is just thrilled, thinking this means he can save Hitomi and his company. What a wholesome, naive take. Aikawa just calmly asks what he plans to do now that he has everything he needs. His grand plan is to give the power-up to Hitomi so she can protect herself and get them out. He reaches for the briefcase, but Ayakawa stops him, insisting she check the circuit first. Genoza is a little confused, asking if she really thinks William would bring a fake. Oh, he has absolutely no idea who the real snake in the room is, does he? A spear of light suddenly blasts right through the briefcase he is holding. He is completely stunned, screaming her name and demanding to know what she is doing. She just sneers, asking why his incompetent daughter should get the prize after all her hard work. And right on cue, her own squad of armored goons materializes behind her, ready to throw down. Elsewhere, a man with a glowing arm leads an evacuation, telling everyone to use the stairs. This guards are terrified but immediately agree to follow his lead. Meanwhile, William's blonde subordinate watches a security feed of a woman in a wheelchair pointing at several bodies. That same woman is now in the room, telling him she kept her promise. It is his turn. And she offers to guide him to some kind of secret room. He asks why he should care, revealing this is all about her father. She just wheels off, saying her dad's business is totally not her problem, a model daughter. Back in the office, Genoza is demanding Ayakawa return the device. She just scoffs, asking if he really thinks she is his subordinate anymore. She slams the circuit into a console, cackling that this power will make her a keeper. Except installation failed, database not found, whoops. Her grand plan just face plants, leaving her completely stunned. Turns out Genoza already extracted all the data. He has been playing her the whole time. She is furious, realizing he has been onto her for years. He just calls it even since she betrayed him first. Fair is fair, right? And now he is reaching for his sidearm. She starts blasting, but Genoza just swan dives through a glass wall to escape, only to land right in front of her armored goons out of the frying pan. He is totally cornered, screaming her name and asking if she has lost her mind. He tries to bargain for his life, but she just laughs, asking if he really thinks he is walking out of this alive. Aikawa's big villain speech gets cut short by a massive explosion from behind. An armored figure smashes through the glass, blue energy sword first. And just like that, she gets a glowing blade right through the back. Genoza watches her drop to the floor, still clutching his pistol. He immediately opens fire, looking absolutely furious, unloading his clip at the armored goons who just smashed their way in. But the bullets just spark off their armor. Yeah, that is not gonna work. That tough guy act evaporates, leaving him screaming for them to stay back. This armored knight just looms over him, completely unfazed. A magic circle suddenly traps him with two of them, a swordsman and an archer. Hiding behind a desk, Genoza demands to know what they are doing. His new friends just stand there, silent and ready for business. Then the archer draws its bow, charging up a blindingly bright arrow. It fires a shot down the hall, right where Shizuya and the others are running. Shizuya instantly recognizes the attack as a lamp arrow. Meanwhile, the swordsman closes in on Genoza, swinging its massive blade. Genoza hits the deck, firing blindly at the ceiling in pure panic. With the archer perched above, there is literally nowhere for him to run. He whispers a final apology to Hitomi, accepting his fate. As the knight's sword glows with rapid mana, preparing for the final blow. So Genoza's new friends are an elite soldier and an elite archer, great leveled-up goons. And just in time, Shizuya and his shipwheel buddy Meiji arrive to crash the party. Our boy calls out the plan. He will distract the tank while Meiji handles the archer. Meiji is all over it, already casting a spell to whip up some golden chains. His chains bind the soldier as Shizuya zips past to take on the other one. He leaps through the air, energy blade ready to slice and dice, just a look of pure, deadly focus on his face, while Meiji provides some kind of holy-looking aerial support. Something slams into the ground with a massive flash of light, and Shizuya comes down hard with a Leon slash on the armored soldier. This tank is instantly reduced to a pile of scrap metal. His buddy just smirks, saying this is nothing compared to the game. Yeah, we get it, you're a pro with the fight over. They finally find Genoza hiding behind a desk. And who walks in but William's whole crew with Hitomi in tow. Genoza is completely floored, demanding to know what they are doing here. He immediately scrambles to Hitomi, showing her the data and promising she can walk again. William's team wants to snatch the device, but he tells them to wait and let Genoza lower his guard. But Hitomi just coldly tells her dad to use the cure on himself. He is on his knees, literally begging her for a chance to make things right, and she just unloads on him, screaming that this will not bring her mom back. Shizuya sees right through her, telling Hitomi she is nowhere near over this. But the tender moment is cut short by a frantic call. The garage is swarming with shadows. William's blonde subordinate grabs his radio, screaming that he is on his way. As the team rushes out, Genoza is left on the floor, pathetically begging them to wait. He suddenly gets a spine, claiming he knows a shortcut to the garage. Elsewhere, a massive explosion rips through a reinforced door, and the surviving guards are sent scrambling for their lives in total panic. Down in the garage, it is an absolute war zone as a few fighters hold the line against the horde. One of them unleashes a massive fireball, blasting a shadow to bits. And right on cue, Shizuya and Meiji drop in, apologizing for being fashionably late. A quick look at the building map shows their main escape route is completely cut off. This white suit guy starts barking orders, splitting the team to cover a retreat through exit B. Meiji immediately throws up a sanctuary shield to buy them some time. But a guard screams that exit B is also swarming with shadows. They are trapped. For his troubles, the poor guy gets a laser beam straight through the chest. Watching him fall, the blonde leader cannot figure out why the shadows are so focused on this path. His tablet shows their movement pattern. They are all converging on a single point. Shizuya just torches the entire hallway with a massive fire blast, and then it hits him. The lamp arrow from before is acting like a beacon. This blonde guy finally gets it too, realizing the shadow's true target is Genoza. William's blonde subordinate is absolutely raging over the video call about the shadow breach. On the other end, a boardroom full of suits just points the finger right back at him. Their leader, a cool as ice guy in sunglasses, just sips his drink and blames the guy's secrecy. He then flat out accuses him of trying to privatize the military. Yikes, that is a serious charge. Back in the chaos, the blonde guy realizes with dawning horror that they were the real targets. His boss on the screen then drops the real bombshell. They are bombing the whole area in 20 minutes. An older aide is furious, asking if they are really going to abandon everyone to die. But the boss offers a little deal, give him more information and maybe he will reconsider. A long, dramatic pause from the man in charge, and he smirks, deciding living people are more useful than dead ones. What a humanitarian. With the clock ticking, the blonde leader orders his team to escape through exit B in 15 minutes. He is screaming orders, trying to organize a desperate defense for their retreat. Shizuya, Meiji, and the whole squad are locked in, ready to follow orders. One of the fighters unleashes a massive spiral of fire down a corridor. This blast completely engulfs one of the armored shadows in its path. Standing in the inferno, he tells his captain he can hold this flank alone. Total show-off. But two more shadows come leaping right through the flames to prove him wrong. His overconfident look vanishes in a flash of oh crap. He barely gets a sanctuary shield up in time to block their pincer attack, and his captain immediately grabs him by the shirt, screaming at him for being an idiot. This hot-headed brawler has a moment of clarity. Protecting people is weird, who knew? His captain just screams at him to survive first before trying to be a hero. Meanwhile, Shizuya unleashes a massive lightning field to hold back the horde, activating a support skill called Brave Flag, which is basically a huge party-wide buff to speed and defense paid for with his own MP. With time running out, the squad decides to go all in for a final push. Their blades clash against the shadows in a blur of light and steel, as the masked swordsman dives right into the fray, and his red-haired buddy just decides to go absolutely feral with his fists. While their other teammate lands a clean, brutal strike of his own, Shizuya drops from above with another seasoned slash, carving through the enemy ranks. After the dust settles, Genoza and Hitomi are found on the garage floor looking up at the suits. Genoza tries to play the cool dad, telling Hitomi he supports her in-game friend, so cringe. He even promises to support her dreams if they survive this whole mess, and she just hits him with a soul-crushing whatever, brutal. Up on the balcony, William's team watches the fight, impressed by their coordination. This blonde leader smirks, totally confident he can keep Shizuya on a leash. His older aide warns him to be careful, but the guy's not listening. Because outside, military helicopters are now swarming the building, and they are opening up with miniguns, ordered to clear an escape route at all costs. This military choppers are just lighting up the street with a storm of missiles. But one of the shadows fires back with a massive energy blast, which just shreds one of the helicopters out of the sky. This flaming wreckage comes crashing down with a 5-minute warning on the comms. Back on the call, the boss man gives them a cool 5 minutes to get out, and the blonde leader is absolutely losing his mind, screaming the countdown at his team. Down below, the squad is still locked in a desperate melee with the armored goons. One guy gets caught by a swap mana beam, getting absolutely wrecked. But there it is, their goal in sight, exit B. Freedom is right there. They reach the door, but it is suspiciously quiet, no shadows in sight. Oh wait, never mind, there is one big one waiting for them, looking like a final boss. This new guy is a shadow magician, rocking a green cape and a very judgmental stance. Shizuya immediately clocks it, wondering why a mage would be posted up alone. Because it is charging up a spell that looks anything but friendly, unleashing a whole volley of fireballs right at their faces. One of the fighters barely has time to state the obvious, yeah, he is trying to burn you alive, and Shizuya takes charge, telling everyone to run while he handles the mage. He zips right through the explosions, closing the distance in a flash, powering up a rapid mana blast of his own to counter, and fires a concentrated beam of pure energy right at the enemy caster. Shizuya's attack just fizzles out, leaving him totally confused. Because the mage decided to go with a more practical weapon, a whole-ass car, he barely dodges as the vehicle slams down and explodes, and it turns out the floor is soaked in gasoline. It is a trap. This shadow magician immediately starts casting a spell to light the whole place up. Our boy realizes he is standing in a giant death trap, and the entire garage erupts into a massive inferno, launching him into the air. But Meiji comes flying in with his own Leon Slash to shut the caster down. His attack freezes the entire area, bringing the ceiling down with it. As the ceiling collapses, everyone else makes a desperate run for the exit. This resulting explosion is absolutely massive. Outside, the survivors are told to get moving while the guards try to hold the line. And right on schedule, a convoy of armored trucks rolls up for the evac. Genoza looks on with pure, unadulterated relief. Inside, William's aide is already talking business, promising to help rebuild. His calm demeanor shatters as he sees something outside the window. One of the armored vehicles gets blown to bits and the order is given to scatter. A massive beam of light descends from the sky, obliterating everything. Shizuya somehow survives, finding himself next to the flaming wreckage. And in the distance, a new big bad appears. An Elder Shadow has joined the party. This Elder Shadow makes its grand entrance, looking completely unimpressed by the chaos. Immediately, the remaining military forces are ordered to open fire, and their bullets just bounce off its armor like pebbles. What a shocker. Shizuya watches on, stating the painfully obvious, bullets are not gonna cut it. In response, the Shadow just grips its massive sword ready to play, and with a single purple slash, it wipes out the entire front line of soldiers. It then taunts the survivors, basically telling them to go home before they get hurt. So Shizuya and the A-team step up to take over the fight. Not to be outdone, the blonde leader gives his own dramatic for glory speech to his squad, as one of his fighters throws up a mana shield to block the next attack, which is a good thing because a massive energy beam comes crashing right down on them. This shield barely holds, leaving the caster stunned by the sheer power. Their hot-headed brawler decides defense is for chumps and leaps in with a fire attack, but the Elder Shadow just calmly prepares to counter the reckless charge. His flames clash against the Shadow's energy blade in a massive explosion, but Shizuya screams for them to wait, halting the whole assault midair. He points out that blindly attacking is just going to get them all killed. This masked swordsman turns, asking if our boy has a better idea. And the plan is simple: hold the line and buy time for the evac, no heroics needed. Shizuya then leads the charge himself, unleashing a rapid mana blast to kick things off. Shizuya's blast gets deflected right off the Elder Shadow's sword, so Meiji leaps in, trying to pull aggro and distract it. This red-haired brawler jumps in too, basically just yelling, "Fight me," and their other teammate dives down with his treasured sword. Sure, buddy. This Elder Shadow just casually spins and parries the attack, totally unimpressed. Meanwhile, Genoza and Hitomi are finally being evacuated by armed guards. He is still trying to be the cool dad, praising Shizuya's skills, and she just turns away, delivering the iciest of cold shoulders. Back on the battlefield, the Elder Shadow suddenly looks up. It has spotted the evacuees making a run for it down the street. Genoza realizes with pure terror that the monster is staring right at them. Raising its sword, the Shadow prepares to obliterate the entire group. Everyone just screams, seeing the attack coming. But Shizuya launches himself into the air, getting between them. He unleashes a massive Leon Slash to intercept the blow, forcing the big bad to block and turn its full attention back to him. This Elder Shadow now looks seriously ticked off, its focus locked on one target. Meiji notes that it has finally recognized Shizuya as the main threat. Setting the stage for a classic one-on-one duel in the middle of the wreckage, Shizuya just stares back, ready for whatever it has got. This game confirms it is a level 99 Elder Shadow. Our boy gives himself less than a minute. His first thought is to play decoy, creating a gap for everyone else to run. Time to debut a new skill, his hand crackling with some serious energy. With a skill called Overlift, he just rips a giant slab of building out of the ground. And then he just eats the whole thing right at the Shadow's head, which the monster casually slices in two, completely unimpressed. Shizuya gets thrown back, realizing the power gap is just absolutely insane. Its eyes just glow, locking onto him with pure predatory focus. This Shadow then leaps high into the air, winding up for a devastating downward slash. Our boy can only watch as the attack comes screaming down, knowing this is bad, which proceeds to shatter the entire street, creating a literal mountain of rubble. And the Elder Shadow just stands there, admiring its handiwork like some kind of demonic landscaper. Suddenly, a new masked fighter shows up, calling out for someone named Kakitsubata. Her teammate grabs her arm, telling her it is too late, he is already gone. This red-haired brawler flashes by, vowing not to let his rival die before he can beat him. But the guy insists they have to retreat because their boss is waiting for them. This masked swordsman refuses, declaring he cannot just abandon his comrades. His new acquaintance counters that their duty is to save the living, not die for the dead. He then coldly remarks what a shame it is, since the fallen hero had a bigger role to play. Meanwhile, the evacuation continues, with William now escorting a woman in a wheelchair. William's aide is stunned to see his boss still on the scene. And Hitomi is in a full-blown panic, screaming for Shizuya. William calmly explains he is fighting the Elder Shadow, so he will be a while. Genoza adds his 2 cents, basically saying people die, deal with it. But she furiously rejects that, insisting Shizuya is too strong to lose. This blonde leader steps forward, agreeing that our boy is not done yet. He then holds up a tablet, declaring they have nowhere left to run. Its screen shows their location swarmed by shadows, summoned by the big bad. One of the fighters asks if they are just being left to die, but reinforcements cannot break through. So the blonde leader turns to Genoza, saying there is a way out if he helps. Genoza immediately agrees, willing to do anything at this point. This plan involves installing data into a device and cranking the energy to max for the rest of the survivors. This is their last and only hope. so the leader puts him on the spot, asking for the circuit right now. This other guards immediately turn on Genoza, blaming him for being the target. After a tense moment, Genoza steals his resolve. He shouts that of course he will provide all the data they need. This blonde leader is pleased but casually mentions the plan requires a human sacrifice. Genoza is just a little bit concerned about that last part. Turns out someone has to absorb all that energy and they will probably go berserk. Fun times. This plan's catch is revealed. The volunteer will absorb so much data their brain might just pop. So the leader asks for volunteers and the guards suddenly find the ground very interesting. Of course, the red-haired brawler steps up, declaring himself the only one fit to lead a suicide squad. His buddy immediately tries to stop him, arguing he cannot hog all the cool heroic moments. Then the masked female fighter chimes in, saying women want to look cool too. Even the masked swordsman joins the debate, suggesting they decide with rock, paper, scissors because why not? Their captain finally shuts them all down, yelling that he is in charge so he will be the one to go. But the brawler grabs him, demanding he give way just this once. A new voice cuts through the chaos, simply offering, "I will do it." It is the woman in the wheelchair, volunteering because she feels useless and hopes this might let her walk again. Meanwhile, back at the crater, a strange red grid materializes over the rubble where Shizuya fell. It seems to be scanning the ground, locking onto something hidden beneath the wreckage. This gets the Elder Shadow's attention and it raises its sword, sensing a lingering presence, so it unleashes another massive blast straight down just to make absolutely sure the job is done. This attack sends chunks of the street flying high into the air. And the Shadow stands atop its newly formed monument to destruction, looking pleased. It lets out a massive roar, clearly enjoying the sound of its own power. Back with the evacuees, William firmly refuses to let the woman go through with her plan. She just looks back with grim resolve, saying her body might as well be useful for something. And with total conviction, she declares there is no one more suitable to be a human sacrifice than her. This guards are just stunned into silence by her offer, but a new voice cuts in, flatly saying that is wrong. And just like that, Shizuya stumbles out of the crater alive. Everyone's just floored that he is still standing. Even the guy who wrote him off is completely speechless. Shizuya, looking like he's been through a blender, says there is only one person who can save them. This guards, of course, have no idea what he is on about, so he just points his cybernetic hand right at Genoza, who proceeds to have a full-on meltdown because of course he does. Shizuya lays it out, the shadows are only here for him. Genoza tries to deny it, calling it all nonsense. But now the guards are turning on him, realizing he is the target. Our boy just tells everyone to shut up if they want to live. This blonde leader is still trying to connect the dots, asking why Genoza. Shizuya explains that these shadows operate like the ones from Azure Land. And every dungeon has one final objective, kill the boss. This makes the blonde leader realize Genoza is basically the area's boss. But he is just some random guy, not military, not rich, nothing special. Except he has the one thing they want most, the game data. So the new plan is to install the circuit and make him the actual boss. Shizuya's grand plan is to turn Genoza into a literal boss monster, the Thunder Demon God. Genoza, naturally, has a complete and total breakdown right on the spot. His face just screams, "I have made a series of terrible life choices," which quickly devolves into him laughing like a maniac about karma finally catching up. This blonde leader tries to talk him down, saying the company's future is on his shoulders. Finally, Genoza admits this whole mess is his fault, a classic villain-to-victim monologue. Shizuya and the leader just listen to this sudden confession with deadpan expressions. Turns out a year ago some shady guy in a top hat offered him a boatload of cash for the game data. Our boy immediately calls him out on it, he actually sold them out. Genoza confesses but claims he held back the really important stuff as a trump card. One of the other fighters asks for a description of this mystery buyer, but Genoza says the guy was disguised because of course he was. He laments that if he had not been so greedy, none of this would have happened. Yeah, no kidding. After his little pity party, he finally steps up, telling them to leave it to him, and with newfound resolve, he volunteers to be the human sacrifice. His final goodbye is to Hitomi, telling her he is probably not coming back. She just sits there, completely silent, taking it all in. Genoza clarifies he is not looking for forgiveness, just for her to survive, so all she can manage is a quiet take care in return. With the drama settled, the blonde leader just smirks and says it is time to get started. Genoza takes his place on the rubble, ready for his grand suicidal debut. They slap the circuit on his arm and the transplant immediately kicks off. He is already screaming as raw data floods his entire system. This whole process forces him to his knees, the installation almost breaking him. And just like that, the download's complete. Time for the fun part. Genoza rises, now facing away from them all, a lone figure on the edge of destruction. His eyes flare with pure blue energy, the man completely gone. A massive pillar of lightning just erupts from his body, shooting straight into the sky. Shizuya can only stare, completely stunned by the insane power level. Then the energy just explodes outward in a blinding flash. Everyone scrambles for cover as the shockwave tears through the area, leaving behind a giant, crackling egg of pure energy where Genoza once stood. Hitomi just watches in horror, whispering for her dad. But Shizuya is pumped, shouting that it worked. The Thunder Demon God is born. This blonde leader gives a grim nod, saying Genoza's name will go down in history, a hell of an obituary. Inside the energy cocoon, the power continues to build to a critical point. This light show, of course, gets the Elder Shadow's attention from across the city. Its helmet shifts, eyes glowing purple as it locks onto its new target, so it just launches itself into the air, winding up for a kill shot. This monster dives right for the energy egg, ready to end this before the boss can even spawn. This blonde leader shouts Genoza's name as the transformation completes, and from the wreckage, the thunder demon god emerges in a storm of lightning. Genoza's new form is fully revealed, telling the Elder Shadow it is their turn now. This brawler worries about his lack of experience, but the masked fighter clarifies, the demon lord has plenty. With a new booming voice, he orders everyone to stay put. He then tells Shizuya to protect Hitomi for him, wielding a massive lightning hammer. Hitomi just watches in total shock, barely able to call out to her dad. From her perspective, he is a terrifying god standing on a mountain of rubble. Snapping back to business, the blonde leader orders his team into a defensive line. His squad immediately gets ready, acknowledging the command. This leader then asks Shizuya to personally protect Hitomi. Shizuya coolly confirms that was his plan all along. At that exact moment, the Elder Shadow dives from the sky like a purple meteor. Its eyes are glowing with pure killer intent, locked on its new target. But Genoza meets the attack head-on, blocking the sword with his hammer. Their clash creates a massive shockwave of raw power. Now the two titans just hover in the air, sizing each other up. It is a classic anime stare-down between two absolute monsters. Watching this insanity unfold, Hitomi asks if they can possibly win. Shizuya just smirks, saying of course they can, they have got a boss on their side. Genoza, now the Thunder Demon God, hoists his hammer high, crackling with power, and he brings it down with a massive thunderclap, engulfing the shadow in energy. But the Elder Shadow just tanks the hit with its sword, no problem. Their weapons lock in a stalemate, pure energy just pouring off the clash. Then the shadow just casually absorbs the lightning from the attack, and fires it right back as a massive energy beam. Talk about a Ruduno reverse. Our boy Shizuya realizes this thing can just eat energy attacks for breakfast. Not wasting a second, the shadow closes in for the kill, catching Genoza completely off guard with its insane speed, and runs him straight through the chest. So much for the big boss debut. Hitomi just screams, watching her dad get impaled. This blonde leader freaks out, realizing Genoza cannot even control his new powers yet. He desperately asks Shizuya for a plan B because Plana is currently getting skewered, and Shizuya's brilliant strategic mind comes up with a resounding I do not know. Genoza is on his knees, completely defeated with the shadow looming over him. He is barely conscious, the power overwhelming him as much as the enemy is. This shadow raises its sword for the execution blow, prompting another round of horrified screaming from his daughter. But just then, Genoza's eyes snap open, glowing with pure red rage, and a flashback hits him, his daughter just wanting her dad to come home from work. This memory of his daughter's words fuels his rage, so he just yanks the sword out of his own chest, apologizing, and unleashes a second wind power-up of pure lightning. Even the Elder Shadow is completely caught off guard by this, getting blasted back by the sheer force of his comeback tour. Now Genoza's back on his feet, looking 10 times more terrifying. Shizuya, of course, is loving every second of this. Genoza winds up his hammer for another swing, but the shadow throws up a quick energy shield to block, which gets absolutely shattered by the sheer force of the blow, sending the shadow reeling back from the impact. Genoza does not give it a second to recover, leaping in for the finish, and brings the hammer down in a cataclysmic explosion, leaving behind a massive cloud of crackling energy. Even Shizuya is holding his breath, asking if they actually won. Meanwhile, some suit gets word that the crisis in Kaijo is over. On the ground, everyone starts celebrating, thinking they are finally safe. This blonde leader is all smiles, thanking his superiors for their support. But the suit on the other end says he is coming to collect the goods. And just like that, the leader realizes they have been sold out. This suit on the other end makes his demands: hand over all the monster tech or nobody's leaving. Our blonde leader plays dumb, saying he cannot just hand over a company president. Nice try. With that, he just hangs up. Negotiations are officially over. His subordinate asks if they are clear to leave now, but the leader knows what is up. They are not after tech, they are after Genoza himself. Suddenly, military choppers swarm the sky, pinning Genoza in their spotlights. Hitomi is completely lost, having no idea what is happening, while Genoza gets absolutely pelted with tranquilizer darts. Our boy Shizuya shouts the obvious: they are trying to capture him alive. A military commander orders his troops to move in and secure the unidentified life form. This whole squad immediately charges forward, no questions asked. Hitomi is screaming her head off, calling them out for attacking the city's hero. One of the soldiers just gives the classic sorry, just following orders line, real heroic. Shizuya tries to tell them they are making a huge mistake, that they cannot handle him, but they just blow him off, completely committed to their terrible, terrible plan. This commander screams attack, as Genoza braces for impact, and Genoza's eyes just flare with pure unadulterated rage. Shizuya knows exactly how this ends, screaming that it is a suicide mission. Genoza winds up his hammer, ready to bring the thunder, literally, and unleashes a devastating shockwave of pure destructive energy. This soldiers open fire, a truly brilliant tactical decision. Of course, the bullets just bounce right off Genoza's chest, not even a scratch. So naturally, they bring in a tank to escalate their bad choices. It fires a shell point blank right at the city's new savior. Hitomi can only scream in horror as they try to blow up her dad. This whole area goes up in a massive fireball, but Genoza just walks out of the flames looking extremely unimpressed. He floats into the sky, now radiating pure "you are all dead" energy. His daughter is just heartbroken, asking why they are doing this to a hero. This blonde leader explains the grim reality: uncontrollable power is always the enemy. Meanwhile, one of Shizuya's guys runs up with some bad news, showing him a tablet that is basically screaming code red at them. Shizuya immediately asks whose circuit is malfunctioning, and it is Genoza's. The power is officially going haywire. His scientist says they knew a rampage was possible, but the army just fast-tracked it. Shizuya lays out the options. Genoza either dies or goes nuclear, fun times for all. Over at military HQ, a general is told to retreat or die, and he just scoffs at the warning. His aide tries to tell him they are already losing people, which earns him a fist to the table and a loud silence. This general's big concern: if they do not win, the military will look bad. Priorities, people. Genoza's rage just detonates, engulfing the entire military force. And he evolves again, now crackling with raw, unstable power. Hitomi is completely horrified, asking Shizuya what is wrong. Our boy Shizuya just stares, realizing this is a whole new transformation. This new form is pure demon lord, complete with a halo of destruction. He then just screams a beam of pure power straight into the sky, which triggers a massive chain reaction of explosions. And here he is, Genoza's final form, a literal god of destruction. This army's tanks are instantly turned to scrap metal, leaving their soldiers just scattered across the rubble. So now the brilliant military strategy is run or you will die. Great work, General. Genoza just winds up his hammer for a citywide cleanup swing and unleashes another wave of absolute devastation. He is just screaming, completely lost to the rage and power, firing off yet another apocalyptic energy blast from his chest. Shizuya throws up a barrier, protecting Hitomi from the shockwave. He grimly states the obvious: Genoza's gonna destroy the whole town, but Hitomi's expression is now ice cold and resolute. Shizuya tries to comfort her, saying it must hurt to see her dad like this, and she just says she is fine. If it is him or the city, she will save the city. This blonde leader is on his knees, realizing a rampage is way worse than a noble sacrifice. He admits to Shizuya they seriously underestimated the boss's power. You think. An aide then tells his second-in-command that the general wants a word, and on screen said general is absolutely losing it, blaming William for the city's destruction. William fires back that this whole mess started because the army poked the bear, but the general just screams that they were saving Kaijo, a masterclass in denial. He then flips the script, saying if the city falls, William's company is going down with it. With that threat hanging, the call ends with a dramatic phone drop. His subordinate asks for the next move because they are royally screwed, so William gets his game face on, deciding they have to stop Genoza and assemble the Oathkeepers. He gives the big hero speech to his squad. This is the final battle, no turning back now. A couple of guys are all in, ready to live or die for the cause. Another member agrees it is unanimous, ready to charge into certain doom, until a single robotic hand goes up with a resounding "I object." William is completely floored, asking Shizuya if he is seriously backing out. Our boy just calmly states the obvious: they literally cannot win this fight. This leaves the leader completely speechless, his big plan deflating instantly. Shizuya suggests a wild new strategy: maybe save the civilians instead of dying for nothing. But William is torn, feeling responsible for bringing Genoza into this mess. So Shizuya hits him with the hard question: is he willing to sacrifice everyone for that guilt? This rest of the Oathkeepers are clearly on Shizuya's side now. Then this new guy, Kaketsubata, steps forward, saying they need to live to fix this. Even William's right-hand man, Sato, agrees that Shizuya's got the right idea. Our boy William is just floored that his whole squad is bailing on his grand plan. Sato clarifies he is not afraid to die, he just wants to make it count for something. So Kaketsubata just announces the new strategy: they are retreating. William is completely bewildered as his team just walks off, abandoning the suicide mission. But Kaketsubata is not running, he has got his own gamble in mind. This just makes William furious, screaming that he is contradicting his own logic. Kaketsubata completely ignores him and just sprints off into the chaos. He is running straight toward Genoza, who is basically a walking nuclear reactor at this point, throwing up a crystal shield on his arm as he dives headfirst into the danger zone. He then leaps onto a rooftop, yelling at Genoza to stop this madness. William can only watch, demanding to know what his subordinate is possibly thinking. This plan is simple: appeal to Genoza's love for Hitomi to bring him back from the brink. And William realizes the absolute insanity of it. He is trying to talk down a god of destruction. Genoza's response is to grip his hammer, which is crackling with "I am gonna kill you" energy. Kaketsubata, seeing a twitch, thinks his brilliant plan is actually working. Even William gets a flicker of hope, wondering if this madman might pull it off. And Genoza just roars, winding up to smash him into a fine paste. Hitomi screams Shizuya's name, absolutely horrified to see him jump in. And there is our boy squaring up against Genoza with a defensive barrier. Genoza brings the hammer down with enough force to level a city block, but Shizuya just barely dodges the earth-shattering blow. This monster god does not let up, immediately winding up for another swing, forcing Shizuya to fire back with a concentrated blast of pure mana. His face is pure grit, pouring everything into this one shot. William and the Oathkeepers just stare, completely stunned by this turn of events. Hitomi can only pray he makes it out of this alive. Meanwhile, Genoza summons a shadow dragon, charging up a final attack. But just then a woman on a griffin dives out of the sky. She snatches Shizuya right as Genoza unleashes his attack. This blast obliterates the ground where he was standing just a moment ago. With Shizuya in tow, she flies him to safety over the ruined city. From a rooftop, a girl in a wheelchair wonders why a shadow is helping a human. Her perspective tracks them as they fly off into the night. His rescuer says she's just returning a favor since this is a fight he cannot win. Shizuya argues that this time is different though. He explains the fate of the entire city is on the line now. Back on the ground, Genoza's power surges, the data from this rampage being the real prize. His rescuer lays it out plain, the city is a lost cause, it is time to bail. But down on the street, Hitomi asks William's team for help one last time. Shizuya tells his ride that he is not just here for her, he has got his own mission now. With a sigh, she agrees to lend him her power again and they dive back into the storm. Meanwhile, William and his crew watch as Genoza's lightning starts tearing the city apart. This blonde leader realizes Genoza is gathering all that power to just wipe Kaijo off the map. Bolts of raw energy slam into skyscrapers, the final act of destruction beginning. His scientist panics, screaming that they need to get out of there now. Hitomi then asks William if he is really just going to let Shizuya handle this alone. She declares she's going to talk to her dad because that plan worked so well last time. William is horrified, yelling at her not to go on a suicide run. But the scientist just calmly says to let her go, spouting some nonsense about everyone having their own path. This seems to flip a switch in William, who decides they cannot run from their responsibility. His scientist buddy agrees, saying some sacrifices are necessary to obtain the world. And William just cracks this deeply unsettling smirk, revealing his true colors. His men are busy evacuating people, completely unaware of their boss's sudden heel turn. Hitomi wheels herself out into the open street, totally alone and vulnerable. From the sky, Genoza roars down at her, screaming that he does not even recognize her anymore. He is just pure unthinking rage now, a monster wearing her father's face. Genoza raises his hammer, channeling apocalyptic energy for the final blow. Shizuya watches from above, grimly accepting that the city is done for, but Hitomi screams out to her dad, making one last desperate appeal. As the literal god of destruction looms over her, hammer raised for the final swing. This move catches Shizuya and his griffin-riding rescuer completely by surprise. In a quiet moment, she tells him that while he was not a perfect husband, he was to her the absolute best dad in the world. And for a single, stunning moment, a tear actually forms in the monster's eye. She keeps pushing, trying to reach the man inside the raging inferno. Seeing this, Shizuya realizes with a jolt that Genoza is still conscious in there. This human part of him is fighting back against the overwhelming power, but the monster reasserts control, raising the hammer to crush her anyway. Hitomi screams in terror, her words no longer getting through. His rescuer states the obvious, his consciousness is gone, the plan failed. Suddenly, Genoza's voice cuts through, begging Shizuya to kill him quickly. He roars that if he does not, it'll be too late for everyone. Our boy steels himself, apologizing to Hitomi for what he has to do now. Genoza just stands there, a willing target before his daughter, and through her tears she tells Shizuya to go ahead, put him out of his misery. With that, Shizuya leaps from the griffin, diving straight toward the chaos, igniting a blade of pure energy for the final, merciful blow. Shizuya's energy blade slams down with everything he has got, but it does absolutely nothing. Genoza's base defense is just too damn high. Our boy gets blown back, scrambling to figure out a new plan. He realizes Genoza's body is not the problem, it is the lightning that is juicing him up. So if he can just sever that connection, Genoza goes down for good. But how? Then it hits him, the chip that started this whole mess is the key. Using his powers, he can see its energy signature, a glowing bulge on Genoza's chest. Genoza himself is screaming for Shizuya to hurry up and do it while he is still conscious. With time running out, Shizuya knows he has only got one shot at this. He yells for Kakun to give him a ride on the griffin, time for an aerial assault. She is all in and they dive straight into the heart of the storm, flying directly toward the swirling vortex of pure destruction. Shizuya locks on, knowing he absolutely cannot miss this shot. He charges up a massive magic cannon, aiming for that one tiny weak point, and the blast hits Genoza square in the chest, right on the chip. With a final apology, Shizuya unleashes everything he has. This resulting explosion sends both him and Kakun flying back. Genoza's monster form cracks away, revealing a look of peace at last. As the light breaks through the clouds, the survivors wonder if they have actually been saved. Even William cannot believe it, stunned that Shizuya actually managed to take down a god. In the quiet aftermath, Hitomi kneels by her father's side. Genoza's final words are an apology for not being there for her. Through her tears, she apologizes right back for ever pushing him away. He just wanted to hear her call him dad one last time, and with a final heartbreaking cry, she watches him slip away. Shizuya steps in, quietly telling her that her father died a hero. Just then, William's crew rolls up, demanding to know how he beat a literal god. Kakitsubata even gives him props, calling him the MVP but vowing to win next time. Saito wants to know the secret technique, but Shizuya just tells him to zip it for now. He will explain later, this moment is for grieving. William then makes an offer to Hitomi. He will fulfill her dad's wish to heal her legs. Her request, however, is to become an Oathkeeper herself. With a look that is just a little too intense, William agrees instantly. And just like that, the team welcomes its newest member. Turning to Shizuya, William asks how he can possibly repay him. Our boy's request is simple, he just wants some peace and quiet. So naturally, William offers him a whole private island to chill on. Then he casually asks if they found that little power-up chip in Genoza's body. Shizuya plays it cool, claiming he destroyed it during the fight. William seems to buy it, telling him to rest well as our boy walks off. William asks if Shizuya's suspicious, yeah, just a little dude. Meanwhile, Kakon and her griffin watch the sunset over the recovering city. She asks our boy what his next move is, and immediately guilt-trips him about abandoning her after all her help. Shizuya, ever the charmer, just invites her to come chill with him, but Kakon points out he should be comforting the girl who just lost her dad. He figures Hitomi probably needs some space from the guy who killed him, fair point. Suddenly, his prosthetic hand starts glowing with some weird data energy, leaving Shizuya completely blindsided by whatever's happening. Oh look, it is a data installation screen because that chip was definitely destroyed. He gets a flash of two people falling, a memory that is not his own. Half a month later, the city is quiet. A high-tech door opens with a dramatic hiss, and out steps a newly recovered Hitomi, who is ecstatic that she can finally stand on her own 2 feet. Her celebration is cut short by a mysterious cloaked figure, who immediately tries to stab her with a glowing blue blade. She dodges back, not exactly the welcome party she was expecting. Then she blocks the blade with her bare hand, sparking with new power, pushing the attacker back and squaring up for a real fight. And the whole welcome back from the dead party starts with a slow, deliberate clap. It is William congratulating the attacker on a successful surgery, which is a fun new word for stabbing. Hitomi, understandably, wants to know what the hell is going on. Her attacker is revealed to be some masked martial artist named Shimoda, who gets a big thumbs up from William for her wonderful movement. Hitomi puts it together, this was all just a test. Yep, a little pop quiz to see if her new powers worked, and congrats, she passed. This scientist then pulls William aside for a quick, ominous chat. William tells Sato to give Hitomi the grand tour while he goes to a meeting. He and the scientist head into an office where some interesting people are waiting. A red-haired girl and a masked dude are just chilling in his office. William immediately tells the guy to get out of his way. This girl who is in his chair gets all flustered, guess she did not think this through. Ignoring her completely, William asks if they found Genoza's data chip. This masked guy just gives a flat no. So William, now in his rightful throne, asks why they even bothered showing up. But the girl has a consolation prize, some juicy intel from the Ritun building. Turns out Genoza was secretly working with a mysterious Z from the shadows. This bombshell hits William hard. Genoza knew about a whole other world. His scientist wonders if their entire business deal was just a pawn in Genoza's game. William is absolutely furious, demanding his agents find this mysterious Z. This red-haired girl and her masked partner start to leave, but she stops short. Turning back, she asks if there is anything else he needs from them. He lays down the law, no more visits to his office, their connection is a secret. She claps back with maximum sass, offering to post their breakup on social media. And with that, William just screams for them to get out of his sight. Meanwhile, on that private island, Shizuya was promised for some R&R. Our boy is standing on a diving board, clearly enjoying his time off. A blue-haired girl cheers him on, maybe a little too eagerly. He executes a perfect dive, aiming for a clean entry, until his own prosthetic hand grabs his shorts, because why not? Then a giant metal dragon swoops in and snatches him right out of the air, which immediately lets him go, sending him plummeting back to the ocean. He hits the water with a massive, not at all graceful splash. This blue-haired girl is cackling, calling it payback for working them too hard. Shizuya surfaces, realizing he has been completely set up. His vacation is cut short by a butler with a phone call for a Mr. Kakitsubata. Shizuya takes the call, confirming he is using Kakitsubata's name now. But the news is grim. Maido City is under attack by shadows and they need help immediately. And just like that, the piece is shattered as a chopper heads toward the chaos. Shizuya and his blue-haired companion arrive on the scene, looking all business. And they are met with a full-on welcome-back hero party from the Oathkeepers. Our boy is just a little underwhelmed by the fanfare, to put it mildly. A new silver-haired leader shakes his hand, calling him the world's savior. Kakitsubata and Sato watch from the side, crediting Shizuya's old guild for his skills. Shizuya cuts right through the pleasantries, immediately asking where Hitomi is. Apparently she is sitting this one out, still grieving her dad, which makes total sense. Inside, the briefing gets grim. Maido City is under siege and a nuclear plant is on the line. Kakitsubata doubts they can even make a difference, but Sato's all about stepping up. This leader preaches about using strategy, not just brute force for this fight, which Sato immediately takes as a personal attack on his intelligence, of course. Meanwhile, a masked woman is so over this meeting she is about to take a nap. This silver-haired guy finally turns to Shizuya, asking for his take on the situation. Shizuya points out the shadows are using predictable patterns from another world. Intrigued, the leader asks him to lay out the actual plan. It turns out the shadows are farming the city's robots for easy XP, just like in a game. Sato's still not convinced, wondering how they stop an enemy that is constantly leveling up. With a smirk, Shizuya explains that robots are a whole lot easier to destroy than shadows. This leader looks completely lost, asking for clarification on that little nugget, and Shizuya unveils his grand strategy, a little something he calls Operation Wildfire. This whole crew just stares, completely baffled by the name Operation Wildfire. His logic is simple: to stop the shadows, they have to destroy all the robots they are feeding on. With a smirk, Shizuya asks if they are ready to commit a little city-wide arson. Sato immediately objects, demanding to know how he is so sure about the robot locations. Our boy's answer is peak gamer logic. He knows because the game told him so. This silver-haired woman cuts Sato off, asking who he is to question the boss of Mapo Tofu, and his blue-haired companion drops the bomb. Shizuya asterisk is asterisk the boss and commander. Sato's entire worldview just shatters into a million tiny pieces. We flash back to 6 months ago, with Sato facing down a massive boss monster. He tells his partner to hold back, but that is not exactly his style. A blonde-haired player zips past him, trying to steal the final blow. This new guy, the commander of Mapo Tofu, starts barking out boss mechanics, no direct attacks. Sato scoffs, accusing him of using cheap tricks and scavenging kills to get ahead. To prove his strength, he decides to ignore all that advice and charge right in, a genius move. He winds up for a massive fire punch, ready to show everyone how it is done. Which the boss immediately reflects back as a lightning storm, because of course it does. Sato gets absolutely blasted across the battlefield. This monster closes in, ready to turn him into a red smear on the floor. But at the last second, blonde Shizuya swoops in and blocks the killing blow. Turns out the monster just stepped right into a magic trap he'd already set. Shizuya's trap springs, locking the boss in a massive energy X. Sato, still reeling, asks how he knew the mechanics for a day 1 dungeon. Our boy explains his big brain strategy. The trash mobs are a walking tutorial, but Sato's not buying it, calling the whole thing just a lucky guess. With maximum smugness, Shizuya says it is fine when you have skilled comrades. This completely shatters Sato's worldview. How can anyone predict a new boss? Shizuya then offers an olive branch, inviting the hothead to raid with him. And Sato reluctantly accepts the handshake, agreeing to a future team-up. Back in the present, Sato admits the commander he respected most was Shizuya, and present-day Shizuya just smirks back, asking if there is anything else. Sato just stands there, completely speechless as it all clicks into place. This silver-haired leader just screams that the plan is a go, with 30 minutes to prep. But a new voice cuts in, asking who gave them permission to leave.